Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you all doing? It's hump day. We made it, people. Just 2 days left before the weekend, and we got a great show for you tonight. You know, the one thing that I absolutely love is experiencers. And tonight, Sinead Whelehan is going to be with us as we prepare for a wonderful show tonight with all of you. Now, I made a little bit of a faux pas earlier today. Is I put up the feed of the show way, way early, and I have no idea who is in the gold, silver, or bronze position. So we are not having any medalists tonight. I apologize, but yeah, boy, did I screw up. But nonetheless, let's do the roll call because we love it when our audience is here. Starting off with Kurt Seltzer with a splash of line. Black Dragon is here, everyone. Mennonite Abe and Andrew are back. Thank you guys for joining us. Grand Paul, see you. Race fan, nice to have you here. Rock the Gas Bar, always a pleasure. I can't think of a name either. Maybe your name is Chad Smith. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. SJ, how you doing? By the way, earlier on in the day, I did see that Black Dragon had a great super chat. Really do appreciate that, Black Dragon. You are amazing, and thank you for your service as a United States Marine as well. Much love to you, my friend. SJ and Cosmic Fleur are here. Cosmic Fleur is looking gorgeous tonight. Cecil, what's up, man? Cecil, by the way, MPM 1125 will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Eddie Haskell and Adam Lakatos. Adam, thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. I hope you're enjoying Banff. I think that's where you live now, right? Banff? Let me know. Jamie Lynn Ricketts, the gorgeous and talented Jamie Lynn Ricketts has arrived. I hope my fish, Dave Scott, is doing well, same as Merle. So give us an update on Merle and Dave Scott in the fish tank. We'd appreciate that. Gorgeous Steph Dickey from Florida, nice to have you here. As we continue on, Nicola, nice to have you here. Ufologist is here. Ufologist will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio. Just remember one thing. Ufologist will not sign anything with the men in black involved. So if you're dressed in a black suit and a black fedora, you aren't getting his autograph. That's for sure. Reborn from Ash, nice to have you here. The gorgeous Jenny Metz. The stunning and talented Nicole Sackich is in our chat room tonight. Yes, so excited to hear Sinead. Me too. Me too. She hasn't said a damn thing for 15 minutes while I've been waiting for her. It's amazing. All right, moving on. And we have, okay, I said all of you. Logan, what's happening, man? How you doing? Downshift, welcome to our chat room. The pizza is at the tables to the right, if you don't mind. And, yeah, that's cool. Awesome Cat Chaser, thank you for your amazing super chat and your love of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. And JR, Michael Morris, how you guys doing? Thank you for joining us. Just going to start the radio feed here, everyone. And scrolling on down, who else do we have joining us? Well, let's take a little look-see, shall we? It's gorgeous Michelle C. from Australia. There she is, everyone. Michelle, give us a wave if you don't mind. Major Lee, good morning to you. And we continue on. Sweet Donna C. has arrived, everyone. And Double Tim, Dirt Road, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. There's Millennium. And Sonny Conway, welcome to our chat room. Sonny is now Chad Smith, by the way. That's a good pull, Sonny. First time in our chat room and dropping a Chad Smith right off the bat. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. There's Chad Smith, who is Groot tonight. Boss Monster, how are you, man? Good to see you. Doc from Wyoming, thanks for coming on in. Vinsanity, always a pleasure to have you here. Hi, Luscious Jules. And Solar Warden. Peppa H, how you doing? $5,900. Science Melinda, the gorgeous Science Melinda from Australia. Jamie Lynn, thank you so much for that awesome super chat. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. Drifting 10K is Chad Smith as well. Welcome to our chat room. And we're going to get going here right now. So stay tuned. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. I am so glad to have our guest on tonight because she is one of the brightest minds in ufology, where many of us really may not know her name. Sinead Whelehan is a lifelong experiencer of multiple forms of paranormal connection. She has also had a deep, lifelong connection to children and young people. She is a special needs educator, psychic, intuitive empath, mirror touch synthesis, or I can't even pronounce that word in your bio, contactee, and energy healer. She devotes much of her free time as an interviewer and research assistant for Grant Cameron as well, because she is a part of that amazing team. But, tonight is all about Sinead, her experiences, what she's learned, and what she thinks is happening in her world. Sinead Whelehan, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Always a pleasure to be able to chat with you. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Dave, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation.
Now, I hope you don't mind, but I am going to mention to our radio and YouTube audience that you are hearing impaired. So that way, if I have to repeat words or speak a little slower so you can read my lips, that way we want to be able to make sure that they're not like, what, why can't she hear that? We want to just make sure that everybody knows that we're gonna do our best. So I may have to do some repeat here because at times when I get excited, I speak really fast. And you're actually watching a teleprompter of what I'm saying.
I can completely relate to that. I do the same thing when I get excited myself, so I understand.
Yes. All right. Sinead, for you as a lifelong experiencer, let's hear your story. Let's get the audience comfortable with what you have gone through your entire life. When did your weirdness start?
Oh my gosh, that's actually kind of a big question, because what I'm finding is part of what's interesting about my experience, which keeps unfolding in new ways that I never quite expect. A big one just happened recently, which I'm going to tell you about. But part of what makes it interesting is that while time is, moving forward and all these new things are happening and new things are unfolding, it's helping me to connect the dots and sort of think back to things that have stayed in my memory, that have always sort of nagged at me a little bit, or didn't completely make sense to me, or whatever it was. And all those things have now, not all of them yet, but I'm able to put pieces together that I wasn't able to put together before. Things that my perspective on some experiences that I've had have changed. So while my point is really that while my experience continues to happen and unfold and time is moving forward, it's also kind of making me go backwards. And so what I'm finding is that as I'm reflecting on the experiences I've had, I keep having new insight into things that have happened. So as to the actual time that all of this began for me, I'm not entirely sure. I know that 3 things happened when I was 4 years old that I only just put together in terms of time recently. One was that I'm actually a 90% deaf person. So I have 90% hearing loss. I wear 2 cochlear implants, and it's reflected in my voice a little bit. Some people find that difficult to listen to, and some people don't notice at all. It's kind of interesting, actually. But aside from that, when I was 4 years old is when I was first diagnosed with hearing loss. So I'm 4 years old. I got my very first hearing aid. That was a very big event for me. I mean, that really I remember the day that I got out of the car in front of my house after coming home from the hospital and getting my first hearing aid and hearing the birds. I remember that. So that was a really big, impactful moment for me, not just in terms of hearing stuff, but also how it affected my mind and my experience of life, right? Because you're able to take in so much more when you can hear more. But also my hearing loss has actually been a really big gift to me. So that's another conversation. The second thing that happened was that I got a really, really high fever when I was 4. I got scarlet fever. That's not what caused my hearing loss. My hearing loss is actually genetic. But when I was 4, I had this really high fever. And what was kind of interesting about the experience, although I didn't think anything of it for a very long time, I didn't feel sick at all. I was so sick. I had this incredibly high temperature. My body was burning with fever. I had the next day a terrible, terrible sore throat because I had strep throat and scarlet fever. But I woke up in the middle of the night, all of a sudden sick, and I felt amazing. I felt like, and I remember this. I was 4. So I remember, thanks Apollo 11, by the way. I remember having this incredibly high fever and having this amazing sense of total awareness. Like all my senses were absolutely wide awake. And I felt like I was reverberating with energy, which now I think is kind of interesting because I've had a few significant experiences that have involved a very high level of vibration. And so I'm not so sure that that was an accident, when that initially happened. But then also the third thing was that happened, and I want to emphasize, Dave, that there's a big, I have a big thing about 3s. Nicole knows about this. 3s are an absolutely huge, huge pattern in my life, have been very consistent for a very long time. And I've been getting super excited over the last year because 3s are actually a really significant number in ufology, in the spiritual community, in metaphysics, in all kinds of ways. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, the third experience I had when I was 4 was that was the only scary one I've ever had that involves the paranormal. Every other experience I've ever had has only been positive, no matter how ginormous or how overwhelming. It's never been scary. It's never been left me with fear or apprehension or anything like that. It's been absolutely nothing but amazing and very positive and just so deeply transformative in lots of ways. So this experience, I kind of wonder, why was it scary for me? Is it because I was 4? Is it because, you're a little kid, you see a shadow on the wall, you get completely freaked out, right? So was it that my interpretation of it that made it scary, or was it that it actually was scary? And if it was scary, that doesn't really freak me out because I believe that we live in a third dimension. I believe that we live in a particular dimension where in this dimension, everything is made up of duality, right? Duality, good and bad, so-called, live side by side with each other. They cannot exist without each other, like light and dark, up and down, every other opposite you can think of. They exist in conjunction with each other. So I don't think that fear is always a bad thing. I think sometimes it can mean you're breaking through something, you're pushing through something, you're into an unknown or an unfamiliar, right? And that's not always a bad thing, especially when it comes to the paranormal, which, as we all know, is super weird and so unknown and unfamiliar, right? But also wonderful. So I think that's kind of where it all started. This is an incredibly long answer. I'm very sorry, but I think that's how it all started. Thanks, Science Bob. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. It's so nice to have you here, Bob. But yeah, I that's the only explanation I can think of, along with the fact that I've always been extremely sensitive, empathic, intuitive, all that stuff. You've probably heard this a million times before, but those kinds of sensitivities are things that I always had, from the time I was very little. So I think that's part of the connectivity too. So I would say that trifecta of experiences at a young age, and then also my personality and my kind of natural inclination to experience the world in a more sensitive way than maybe many people, that had something to do with my resulting experiences being able to take root.
For you, as you have matured throughout this field, why did you feel it was necessary for you to start researching what is going on? Because we all have that path. For me, I knew I was never a deep thought researcher, but I knew how to speak in front of a microphone. With my radio background. So this is why this became very natural for me to do this show. But for you, why did you jump into the research end?
Well, I didn't actually. I didn't choose it at all. It came to me in the form of Grant Cameron, who I'm actually no longer an assistant to. We have decided to go separate ways, which is partially because my job as a teacher, a special needs teacher, takes up such a massive amount of my time, really takes up a massive amount of my time, that I don't really have time to do my job and do things for Grant and follow my own projects and my own things that I need to follow for myself in order to be able to continue on my spiritual path. So I really had to kind of prioritize, right? Like, if I want to keep experiencing all of this, and I really do, it is the most important thing in my life. And, there are many reasons for that. If I want to keep experiencing that, I have to follow what feels right to me. And I have to have time and energy and space to be able to do that. So while I may, who knows what's going to happen in the future, this is what I need to do. And it's partially as a result of my most recent experience, which I'm going to tell you about. So can you ask me the question again? Because I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent.
For you researching, are you like, let me rephrase. Are you like many of us where you're doing this almost on a selfish level because you want to find out what's going on with you and why you were chosen to have all of these types of mediums happen?
Well, this is what happened. I had an absolutely humongous awakening in July 2019. There is no better way to describe it. It was just absolutely massive and went on for weeks afterwards. And that completely consumed me. Like, I could not ignore that I was having this experience. And, literally everything in my life in terms of my perspective changed overnight. So I started just trying to find out what this was. Was there anybody else out there? I was not in ufology at all. At all. I was not reading books about UFOs. I was not watching videos about UFOs. I was not talking about UFOs. I was not thinking about them. I believed that extraterrestrials were always out there. It didn't make sense to me that they wouldn't be. And I thought UFOs were most likely real, but it wasn't a thing for me, right? So I just needed to try to understand this experience that I had. And the short version is that I reached out to the Honorable Paul Hellyer, who I asked for help. And what is a Chad Smith?
Oh, that's one of our listeners. We're all Chad Smith.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, then, yes. So in any case, I was just trying to figure out where to go. And I reached out to the Honorable Paul Hellyer, and he was very nice. And he responded and said, well, I think that you should go to this alien expo that's happening in Toronto. And it happened to be like a month or a month and a half, not even, after I'd had my gigantic awakening. So that was pretty timely because not a lot happens in Toronto. Not a lot happens in Canada, really, when it comes to ufology conferences, big events, that kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. So I went there, and when I got there, it was just immediately like, aha, okay, I feel these people, like this is, I've been looking for this. And at that conference, I ended up accidentally, which I don't think was a coincidence, sitting at a table with Grant Cameron, who then I started talking to, of course, because I was sitting at the table with him, and he gave me his business card. And he said, your story sounds interesting, because I was just talking to everybody saying, I don't know what the hell is going on with me. Like, can you help? What do you know? What can you tell me? And so he said, well, I'd like to help you. Your story sounds interesting. Here's my business card, right? So he gave me his business card. I took it. I reached out to him, didn't hear back. Reached out to him again, didn't hear back. And then eventually he saw something I posted on Facebook, something like that, and reached out to me and suggested that we have a video chat, which I had not asked for. He suggested that, right? So right away, I'm like, okay, I get to tell my story to somebody who's right in the know. This is awesome. And it ended up becoming this 4.5 hour long conversation. And then we were just, completely thinking, very similarly. And then after that, he asked me if I would like to do interviews with him. So, you know, all of these things came to me, like I didn't actually look for them. And when Grant asked me to do that, I felt like, oh my God, how can I possibly do this? I'm a public servant working with children, you know, like this is a kind of career risk here. So for a while I was using the name Anya Hanley on Facebook, but then Facebook kicked me off. I wasn't allowed to have 2 accounts. But in any case, that's part of my journey of, you know, just gradually getting braver and coming out more publicly about who I am and what I'm really about and what my experiences have been, because there's so much a part of who I am. So to answer your question, I was compelled to. I did not have a choice. I did not have a choice but to come into this community. My awakening very, very clearly told me that. And I have received innumerable confirmations since. And the most recent one was the one I was going to tell you about that just happened about a week ago.
Sure. Tell us.
Right now? Okay. It's very long. So, okay, sorry, I didn't really hear that actually.
We have 7 minutes before.
Okay, 7 minutes. Oh boy. So the summary is that I have had 3 major experiences in terms of experiencing a very high amount of energy and a vibration, like huge energy and vibration. It's happened 3 times. And I've just figured out, because of the 3rd one that just happened recently, that they have all happened in July and August. And they are exactly 2 years apart. I mean, not to the day, but, you know, to the month pretty much apart. So my awakening was July 2019. Then I have this massive experience. Sorry, going back to 2017. Actually, 2017, I was in Peru. That's the first time I met ETs. Then I had the massive awakening July 2019. And then I had this huge experience just recently, which was an energy merge from an ET that showed up to me during a CE5 presentation, and then showed up again during a photograph that somebody had taken of me during the CE5 later that night, and then showed up again in my room, and then has been giving me some pretty incredible communication, partially, for example, in the form of a message I received from the medium that I have never communicated with. So she sent me a message that completely verifies what my experience was, like matches with it exactly. And then there's been weird electronic stuff going on, which is new for me. And also I've been hearing tones, which is also new. And all of this stuff is coming through in a very particular way, which is how I know that it's not me. And I don't know how to explain that any better than that. I just know it's not me. And these things come through in a very particular way. There's a kind of pattern. So for example, the tones come very, very insistently, where they're played over and over and over and over and over again, so that I'm forced to go, oh, okay, this means something. And I'm supposed to pay attention to this. So I recorded them. But the first batch of tones came just a few nights ago, and I was in that window, you know, between waking and sleeping. It was close to 3 a.m. I didn't realize that at the time. I think it was like 2:30. And so I'm half asleep, you know, and so I kind of like whisper mumbled these tones into the phone. But then the other day I got 2 more, and I could only pick them up if I was standing exactly in the middle of my living room. If I walked away from that spot, because I was walking around trying to figure out where it was coming from. You know, is it a car playing music outside? Is it somebody in the hallway? No. And every time I moved from that spot in the middle of the living room, the tones would stop. It's just, there's been so much bizarre stuff going on. And all of it has a theme that is like a common thread through all these experiences over a week and a half so far. And the energy merge was enormous. I'll tell you about that.
What did those tones sound like?
Oh, gosh. This sounds cheesy, but really, you know, this was kind of my experience. When I heard the tones the first night, which was just the other night, it was like music. It was very vibratory. It made me feel amazing. Like, it just felt like the most beautiful, you know, massage or listen to beautiful music that you could ever have. It just gave me this wonderful, calming, joyful kind of feeling. And then I immediately thought of, this is the cheesy part, I immediately thought of Close Encounters of the Third Kind and that famous, yeah. I mean, that's really what came to mind. It felt like that. It felt like, oh, this is not just some song that's playing in my head. Like, I'm supposed to take note of this and I need to record this. So, yeah, it's been pretty weird.
You know, for me, I heard the tones for the first time, you know, it was, almost a year ago now. And what was funny about that was Olaf Phillips called me at 3:33 a.m.
Huh? Do you have a thing about 333? Because I totally have a thing about 333. Oh my God.
Yeah, he called me at 3:33 a.m., woke me up, and the phone went click. And then he immediately called me back, and I picked up, said hello. His phone went click. So I called him back at 3:34, he phoned a third time, pardon me. And as I went hello, the phone went doot, 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 just like that, doot, doot, doot. And I got an image. And the image was like a diamond with two.
Oh, yes, you sent that to me.
Yeah. So that's the image that I got from that. But it was coming at all different colors: blue, pink, red, yellow, orange, purple, black, green. It was coming at all different colors. I just liked the blue one. And I called Olaf, or I messaged Olaf in the morning, and he said, and he's like, dude, what's going on? Why'd you call me in the middle of the night? So I sent him a message that said, dude, you called me. And then hung up.
I love that.
And so we immediately get on the phone with each other, and he states to me, I didn't call you. And I said, what do you mean you didn't call me? He goes, Dave, my phone has no record of calling you last night.
That's bonkers.
And so I screenshotted the phone time, and that's when we learned he called me at 3:33. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy that had happened. And so when you all of a sudden mention the tones, I kind of got a little bit of shivers going on here, because I really didn't know or have heard of that. And what's funny about that, and here's a tie-in to the lovely and talented Nicole Sackich, was 3 months later, she had a download and I had a download the same night. Mine was very square and rectangular, but looked like the shape of a swan. And hers was very round and very circular, but took the shape of a swan. And both of us couldn't figure out the area down below, what it was. We couldn't see it. It was weird. Sinead, I'm going to get you to hold on. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Alien Encounters. We're going to get into them next with Sinead Whelehan here on Spaced Out Radio.
You almost got my last name right. Almost.
You're doing great so far.
Thank you. And sorry about that, by the way. I forgot not to talk.
That's okay. You did well. Hi, gorgeous Pam McSee. Who else is here? Bob.
I love these names that people come up with for themselves.
Bob.
Like, I'm digging Dry Toast right now.
Oh, that's the best name on YouTube right there, Dry Toast. Who else do we have here? Fast Hemi has returned. And let's see here. Who else? The lovely and talented Michelle Rose has arrived. And the stunning and attractive Lori Rosenfield. There she is. There she is. And
hi, Lori.
And who else do we got here? Mirror Person, good to see you. Vinster, what's happening? And thank you, Lori, for that great super chat. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And let's see here. Who else we got? The lovely and talented Avi May. And Silent Edge Manny has returned. Jeff Steve Garvey, he's batting 300 this season. And Black Rabbit, you haven't been here in a few nights. How you doing, buddy? The lovely Nikki from Seattle. My brother from the U.S., Eugene Braxton. And Michael Smith, thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. Really do appreciate that. I actually should put Lori's up because I forgot to. That's a super sticker there. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that, buddy. That's awesome. And there's Lori's there. And where are we here? Fapster is here. A little late. Fap was too busy drying the side of his right side of his head. You know, he did the left at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Finally got to the right side. And let's see here. Who else has arrived? Sometimes I scroll too fast and my eyes can't catch up. Jeremy Jones, thank you for that super chat. Really do appreciate that, Jeremy. Thank you. Harry let us know. Hello there, Desert Clam. Magnus, good to see you. Robert Moore, thanks for joining us. And let's see here. Yeah, Brian Stavely. We got to get him back on. I love Brian. He's good for the Mandela effect. We should get him on for October. Oob to Joe's Maine. You have aliens tonight. Let's see. Helena, who do I have to beg to see a UFO myself? I'd like to see one. Just call it in. That's all you have to do is call it in. I'm keep cutting out because I am moving back and forth. I'll turn my mic down a little bit so that way it shouldn't cut that much right there. So let's try that out. That should be better. No, Ryushin is not going to come back on. No. The Michael Leger is here, everyone. The Michael Leger. Boom to you, Bama. How you doing? Long Dong, what's happening? I don't know why I say some of these names. They're hilarious. Silent Listen, good to have you here. And, yeah, see what happens is I get close when I get excited. I got to stay back when I go boom. Let's see here. I think we're good. Well, there's Jeff Elder over in the Spreaker chat room. Can't believe it's September 1st already.
They're curious about this Chad Smith thing.
Oh, Chad Smith is one of our listeners. And he is just somebody where we just decided one day that we're all going to be Chad Smith one day.
That makes no sense. Explain why. What is it about Chad?
Why not?
That makes everybody want to be him.
Why not? That's the fun part. There doesn't have
so we're getting existentialist here.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Okay.
Okay, quickly here. Thank you to Brian, Jeremy, Michael, Lori, Science Bob, Space Cow, Apollo, Jamie, Cat Chaser, Adam, and Black Dragon for the super chats. We're going to get going here with the second half hour right now.
Typical white dude name. Yeah, it totally is. Whoever said that is bang on.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter on Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight, what it's like to have an experience of education, learning from extraterrestrials and paranormal phenomena. Sinead Whelehan is our guest tonight. And Sinead, right before the break, you were talking about this story where you heard these tones. I want to go back in time a little bit to 2017 when you first encountered extraterrestrial beings. What happened there?
So Peru is quite an amazing place, and I did not go there with any expectations of anything happening whatsoever, but I did go with the intent of having a spiritual experience. I've really been somebody who's always been a seeker, and I've looked into myself and life and, trying to find meaning and all that stuff in a lot of different ways. And one of them is through travel. And I just had this feeling like I've got to go to Peru. And I know it was very beautiful. I'd never been to South America before. And then I had a synchronicity with a dear friend of mine who was also a teacher, actually. He's not an experiencer, but he's a teacher. And he said to me one day, without me having to say anything, hey, I've been thinking about going to Peru. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So that to me was like a yes, you should go to Peru, a kind of confirmation, even though I was not in this field again at all at that time. I am a spiritual person though, and I've always tried to, do the best I can to become the best human being that I can be, and, live in the most positive way that I can, not just for myself, but for others. And so this trip was all kind of connected to that. But I was also looking for something. I've always had this feeling that there's just more, and I wanted to know what it was. And I think that's what has made me work so hard on myself, and also explore and seek so much in my life, is this feeling. There's more, there's something that I need to know. And I have no idea even what it is, but I just have this feeling, right? So I started getting the answer. Thanks, Marty. Hi there. I started getting the answer when I went to Peru because, again, I was going for spiritual reasons, but absolutely nothing to do with extraterrestrials. And immediately I started having an amazing experience when I got there. There's a very special vibration in that country, like on that land, very, very, very amazing energy. And so I was in two different places. I was in the Andes Mountains doing a spiritual tour of the Sacred Valley of the Incas. And that was an off the beaten track kind of thing, because I'm not a touristy type. I don't like to do the long lines and buy the trinkets and the souvenirs and see all the things that everybody else is seeing and take selfies. That's just not me. I like to see the land and the people and, do it a little bit more organically. That's just my style. So I felt like, okay, well, this trip is going to be great because it's going to be a very small group of people. It will have a spiritual aspect to it. It will have a spiritual kind of foundation to it. We're going to get to go to these amazing places, but not on, tour buses and with massive amounts of other people. That sounds perfect to me. And it was absolutely perfect. And so two things happened. I'm just sort of leading up to the ET meeting because these other two things are important, but I won't talk about them too much. The threes started almost immediately, right? So I got to Peru, I have crazy altitude sickness, and I'm walking around like my body is made of spaghetti, like I can't control my limbs, and I'm just sort of getting adjusted to the altitude. So it took me about 3 days for that to settle. And then that night, I have to back up a little bit more. So when I'm packing for Peru, I had a very weird experience, not a bad experience, just an odd experience that I was both aware of and not aware of at the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but that's exactly what it was like. And it reminds me of when I was a little kid and I would have these experiences that were really, really intense. And I somehow came up with this conception of front me and back me, like front me is in the 3D, goes to school, does the dishes and, does my homework and plays with my friends or whatever. back me is the one that knows everything that's going on, and she understands all these experiences that I'm having. So it was that kind of experience. It was like I both knew, but I didn't know what was going on. And so what happened was I was packing to leave for Peru. I was packing my bathroom bag the night before I had to go, which was very early the next morning. And I had this distinct feeling. I still remember what it actually felt like. I had this feeling like a hand came over my hand and then picked my hand up and made it pack. And this is really nuts because I am not somebody who believes that every single rule should be followed all the time. I'm definitely more, a pretty flexible thinker, but I don't play with getting myself in trouble with the law. And this hand made me pack half a joint that I hadn't finished smoking. And so it made me wrap it up. And when I say made me, it wasn't like I was being forced or something. This was just, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. And I had to go through 3 South American countries before I got to Peru. And if anybody knows what, the laws on drugs are like in South America, you do not mess with that. So this is not like me at all. And yet here's this hand taking my hand and making me pack this joint in a very particular way where it's wrapped up in a whole bunch of bags. And then I put it in my bathroom bag and that gets zipped up and then that gets put in a bag and in my suitcase, right? I mean, it's this strange sort of experience that I know I'm doing this, but I also don't really know that I'm doing this because otherwise I wouldn't be doing this because it's too dangerous and risky. But I'm completely calm. And then the next day, early in the morning, I get up, leave, get on my 45 planes. It took me forever to get there because I wanted a cheap flight, a cheap trip. And so I go through these 3 South American countries, airports. And I'm totally fine. Like, I'm not even thinking that there's half a joint in my bathroom bag. It does not even come into my mind. I'm just so relaxed. And I'm just looking forward to getting to Peru, right? So it's literally not even in my head. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So then I get to Peru, totally forgot there's half a joint in my bag, like not in my awareness whatsoever. I'm all noodly, 3 days of altitude sickness. 3rd day comes. I finally, again, 3, right? I finally start feeling a bit better. And so I get this inclination to take this half a joint and go up to the open air roof of my hotel in this city where I've landed and smoke it, which could get me arrested and thrown in jail. And this does not even occur. I'm just like, that makes perfect sense. I'm going to do that. That sounds great, right? So I get myself a hot cup of tea because even though it's July in Peru at that point, that the altitude means that at night it gets pretty chilly. So I'm all bundled up and I've got my moccasins on and this hot cup of boiling hot tea and this joint. And I'm just like, la, 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 right? So I go up to the roof of the hotel and I settle down on a chair. And this is where things start getting really cool. Nothing like this. I'm not a chronic pot smoker. I enjoy pot. I don't smoke it every day, all day. I would not be able to function and it makes you stupid and kind of lazy. That's just how it affects me. I could not do it as a lifestyle. There are some people that absolutely it works for them. Good for you. Do it. Whatever makes you happy. But for me, it makes me dumb. So I can't do that. But I have been smoking pot for a long time. And I have never, ever, ever, ever had any kind of hallucination or any kind of, crazy experience other than creativity, great conversation. You laugh your head off, all that great stuff. You get into the zone, all that stuff that it's really nice for, right? It's a plant. So in any case, I go up to this roof. I smoke this half a joint, and across from me, so I'm in Cusco, which is the ancient capital of the Incas, right? And there's this huge bowl. The city is like in a valley or in this crevice in the mountains. So it's this huge sort of bowl, the city, right? So I'm sitting really, really high up. Right across from me are the Andes Mountains, which are so beautiful and just amazing. You feel like they're alive. It's amazing. Anyway, they're right over there. It's pitch black, dark, right? Can't hear anything. I'm hearing sort of music over there and some Spanish over there. And on the mountain, the bottom half of the mountains, there's all these tiny little lights from roads and houses and businesses and stuff. And they become, in complete, crisp and perfect detail, the face of a jaguar, this huge face of a jaguar on the side of the mountain made up of these lights. So the jaguar is staring at me, right? And I know it's staring at me because its face is right there, absolutely in the center of my line of vision. And I did not know what to make of this. I started blinking and looking again. I looked away and looked again. I slapped myself. I pinched myself. I mean, I did all those things that you see in the movies that you think people don't actually do, but I did because I was so stunned. And it stayed there for probably 30 minutes. And then it just went back to how it had been, like it had never been there. So I was kind of like, okay, that's very interesting. And I went downstairs and got on my laptop and started looking up the significance of the jaguar. And it just blew my mind, the connections and so that was the first thing. Second thing was on this tour, the spiritual tour, I took the plant spirit called Wachuma, otherwise known as San Pedro, but I don't use the name San Pedro because that's the Spanish name, which is not a bad thing, except that they brutally colonized Peru. So I use the indigenous name, which is Wachuma. Wachuma is a really, really beautiful plant spirit, and that experience was absolutely amazing. So, you know, as an example, everything and everyone around me became made of rainbows. And rainbows are also very significant in Peru spiritually. So there's all this really cool stuff happening, right? And I'm feeling amazing. I feel like this is my home, like this place. I'm just so vibing with this place. I am loving everything about everything that's happening to me. And at this point, I'm 2 weeks into my 3-week time, almost 2 weeks. And then it's time for me to go to a retreat center in the jungle where, guess what? Surprise, surprise, I was going to take ayahuasca. And I had done my research very carefully, and you know, there's a lot of bad press around ayahuasca, and unfortunately, that's because it's become very trendy, and so people are trying to make money by brewing it and selling it, and you know, creating retreat centers when they're not actually qualified or legitimately, you know, should be doing that, and that causes some problems. So I did the homework very, very carefully, and you know, really looked into how I could be safe and how they made it, and what I would have to do to prepare myself and all that stuff. So I got there feeling very comfortable, and here's where the threes also show up. So first of all, I'm put in Tambo or hut number 3. I didn't ask for it. I was put in there. Our journey starts on the 3rd night of the week that we are there. And when I say journey, I mean taking ayahuasca. We were supposed to take it for 3 nights, and nothing happened to me except on the 3rd night. So there's just a whole bunch of 3s going on here and more, but those are some of them. So on the 3rd night, I have this really, you know, nothing happens the first night. I fall asleep, and then I got a talking to from the shaman the next day. You know, you can't fall asleep. You're supposed to stay awake. That's very bad in Spanish, but I kind of understood him. And then the night after that, I stayed awake. Absolutely nothing happened. And I'm like lying there, you know, come, I want to talk to you. Like, I'm just like, you know, I'm here, right? Like totally open and willing, and absolutely nothing happens. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this is terrible. You know, am I this spiritually blocked that I can't access, you know, something? Well, the 3rd night was just amazing. I was immediately, almost immediately, it's a long story, but I was almost immediately inside a UFO for one thing. And then I was outside of it. And also when I was inside of it, it was this extraordinary experience because I just knew I was inside a UFO. I just knew. It was just that feeling, you know, that experiencers get. You just know, with every fiber of your being, every cell in your body is saying, I know exactly what is happening right now. And even though I've never been in a UFO before, I certainly, and again, was not in ufology. I was not reading about UFOs. I was not into UFOs and ETs. This was completely out of the blue for me. And yet I completely knew with absolute conviction that I was inside a UFO. And I could see the shape of it, and I could see this amazing purple light that was not like purple light here. It was different. And that was all the way around the inside of it. Then they took me outside of it because I realized that I had been shown, it was like a teaser. You know, that's how it felt. It's like, you can be in here more if you want to, right? But then they put me back outside. And then in front of me was this whole line of beings, like light beings. They were all made of light, and they were expressing this incredible amount. I will never forget this. It was a really amazing experience. This incredible amount of joy and welcome and excitement to see me, and excitement that I could see them. And it was like, we've been waiting, like finally, you know, which is also something experiencers will say, that they get that sense that it's like, you made it. Okay, you know, we've been waiting, or we've been looking forward to this or something. So it was that kind of feeling, and it was this amazing amount of exuberance and excitement, and they were all twirling and spinning and jumping, and some were flowers and some were other shapes, but they were conscious, they were alive, and I know that they were all beings because they were talking to me. Like I could hear their voices, I could feel their presence, just like you do with a human being, especially with a crowd of them. So that was really amazing. And to make a longer story short, just because I think it might be a bit boring if I get too detailed with this, and there's more to tell anyway, but I was invited to go with them, to go up into space with them, which I really, really, really wanted to do. But I am in a human body, and, I was sort of between two dimensions, right? And my human body was really distracting me from being able to be fully in this other dimension, communicating with these beings, because my stomach was going crazy. Ayahuasca is quite hard on your system. And so my stomach was really upset, and I was really distracted by that. And so I had to kind of take a break from the experience. And then as I was coming back to it, I was like, no, I could feel them leaving, right? I felt them leaving. And I said, no, don't go, right? And they said, don't worry. And it was this very calm feeling. They said, don't worry. This is your invitation. And then I was like, okay. And so I heard that, and I took that in. I accepted the feeling of that they meant it, right? I had no idea what that meant. And then I came back to Toronto and had a crazy experience with synchronicity with ayahuasca, which is just bonkers. But that's not really the point of this conversation. So that kind of confirmed my experience. And then, time is passing. This was in 2017, the summer of 2017. And I have not been back to Peru since. I have not taken ayahuasca since.
I want to ask you.
Sorry.
I want to ask you, if you don't mind,
sure.
How do you know? Because I've never done ayahuasca. I am not a smoker of the devil's lettuce. I just love that term. I do. All right. But I have no problem with anybody who does. But how do you know you just weren't having a bad trip?
Because it didn't feel at all bad. And because it felt, I've asked myself that question, but every time I even entertain a doubt that this was quote unquote real, because really, what is real? I really am interested in that. What is real? Because a huge amount of what we do, how we live, how we think, how we behave, what our systems are, is fabricated reality, right? It gives us this concept of reality that is not necessarily true to our nature and our capabilities. So, what's reality anyway? And if you're listening to quantum physics, they've been telling us for quite a long time now that time and space are multidimensional. So, this is a scientific, this is being proven over and over and over again by multiple quantum physicists and, scientists of all kinds. So, and we know anyway that everything is made up of matter. Everything is made up of energy, right? Everything is made up of vibration. I mean, that's an old scientific fact. So, if we can conceive of the devil's dandruff, if we can conceive of, those kinds of concepts that sound incredulous, you feel like you'd be incredulous that they were actually real. Like, how could this be possible that this table is not actually solid? But the thing is, it isn't actually solid. It just appears very, very convincingly because of our senses in the third dimension and our ability to see light the way that we do, that it appears to be solid, right? So, I mean, I'm aware of these things. This is a topic that I think a lot about. And so I don't really feel limited by this very rigid concept of reality. I mean, think about it like this, right? I forget who said this. This is one of my favorite sayings ever. I use this all the time. Somebody famous once said something like 30 people can read the same book and it's 30 different books. Because every single person's perspective is completely different. And even though we can share experiences, the way that we perceive of those experiences is always incredibly individual. So everybody's reality is different, no matter how you put it or phrase it, right? So So to answer your question, I don't believe that reality is what we think it is. That's partially why I knew it was real. And also I just knew. Like, it's not, they were talking to me. And also because again and again and again, they are showing up. And now it's because, like, it literally showing up in my life and making things happen. And ever since that experience, I mean, it took me a while. The next 2 years I was doing some really hard spiritual work and had to, like, make some big choices and decisions that ended up, if I hadn't made those choices and decisions, I don't think I wouldn't have created the causes and conditions to then have my gigantic awakening, which had now created this snowball effect of all these other things happening. Right. So I know it's real because of the continuity of the experience, over many years now, and also how I am changing as a result of it, and also because that thing, that more, I always wanted to find, this is what it is. It's this, that we are not alone in this universe. There are beings around us all the time that we can't even necessarily see, let's say. I think that's a very real possibility. And, it's a fascinating time to be alive and to be part of this community, because all these things that we talk about are now actually being taken seriously. I mean, NDEs are being taken seriously, psilocybin and MDMA, and, these plants and these compounds that people have used for fun or for spiritual purposes, but have been known mainly for party purposes. They're actually being taken seriously because they have incredible healing benefits for people, like really incredible healing benefits, unlike any other thing that medicine has created before or any other kind of therapy, right? So NDEs, psychedelics, that's the word I was looking for. I'm a little tired because it's, 1 a.m. over here? Yeah, almost 1. Psychedelics, even communication with spirits, definitely UFOs and ETs. These things are now being held as being legitimate by scientists, by researchers, by very educated people who are professionals who have experience and qualifications in these fields. So, it's a really, really fascinating time to be here and to be having these conversations. And I think that that's not entirely an accident either. I feel like this is awfully timely, is what I'm going to say. My life has changed dramatically in the last 4 years. Dramatically. I mean, literally every single thing about my life has changed, and for the better. Right? So it's all because of this experience.
You realize, as we head to break here at the top of the hour, there's probably a bunch of listeners tuning in for the first time saying, I want what she's having. I want some of that. How do I get it? Where do I go?
Good vibes. Kindness, love, respect, all that stuff. Good vibes. That's what it's about.
Where is this alien candy that she is snacking on a few times? When we get back from break here at the top of the hour, we're going to go down a road with Sinead, because as an experiencer, you go through these trends of trying to not only figure out what you're going through, but you're trying to figure out what everybody else is seeing as well. And you're paying attention to the community. Are experiencers getting a bad run right now? What about Anjali? Do you believe her story? We'll figure it out when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest tonight, Canadian experiencer Sinead Whelehan. We'll be back with more ET, UFO, paranormal talk here on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear.
Thanks for the finger. I almost forgot again.
No problem. Who came in? Ethereal Aura, what's happening? Good to have you here. Black Dragon says, love you, Sinead.
Thank you.
Careful. All the single guys.
So nice.
All the single guys are asking, she's single, she's single, she's single, she's single.
Oh, thanks, Julie. I'm just seeing the holy moly comments. Wow.
Oh yeah, they move fast.
No kidding. Fast. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, thanks. I want to say something really sweet to Fat Base. So thanks, PB.
Joe is asking how to pronounce your last name. Whelehan.
Whelehan. Dave, I think this is going to be an ongoing joke. Whelehan.
That's what I said. Whelehan.
5 times fast.
Lone Wanderer, how are you? Whelehan.
You got it.
Black Rabbit. Where do you buy your weed? Morning, Tony.
From the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there is actually a strain that is called Alien OG or something like that.
Oh, look at that. Buster Cherry says, say my name. He wants to have a good laugh that the host said, Buster Cherry. I know what you did there. It's almost funny. It's almost funny. If your picture didn't look like you were only 15, it's almost funny. Let's see here. Sonny, you just get that?
I just got the ask her if she's ever sniffed paint. No, I've not sniffed paint. Oh my goodness.
Sonny is funny. I trimmed my beard today, Adrian. I totally trimmed my beard.
Yes, thank you for that. I can read your mouth a little bit more easily.
No
but the captions, which I have only on my screen over here, are very much helping me. Thanks, Apollo 11.
And
John, nice to see you. Of course you're here. I should have thought of that. Julie, nice to see you as well, sort of. Nice to see your words.
Spudgy, how you doing, buddy? The gorgeous and talented Kira, how are you? And
Oh, Jose Maguina, you're missing out. It's not, don't believe the hype, dude. It's not this scary stuff. If you do your homework, then you're all good. Jeremy Jones, I do not agree.
What's Jeremy Jones saying? Let me find it here.
He said I'm full of SHIT.
Oh, you're way behind in the chat room then. You're way behind.
That's okay. Not everyone is going to agree, and that's totally fine with me. I'm not here to convince anyone.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Or maybe I'm wrong and he's not talking about me. I don't know. But either way, it's all good.
John Poe, Dave, how do you feel about choking? Well, all right.
Let's play nice.
Yeah. No, it's because I'm...
Oh my gosh. Avi May, you knew Paul Stamets' mom, Patty. That is super cool. Paul Stamets is a brilliant man. Brilliant man. He's also hilarious and super smart. I just said brilliant, so that kind of makes sense.
Time out for a second here. Filth says, I don't know how to pronounce foyer. It's not foyer. That's the American way. Foyer. Foyer is the American way. Gorgeous Angeline, thank you for that super chat. Really do appreciate that, my dear. Thank you. Foyer.
Foyer. Now I'm thinking about what I say. Foyer. I say foyer.
John has nominated you as an honorary Chad Smith.
Thank you, John. I know it's a badge of honor, and I accept with pride and dignity and great gratitude.
Yeah. Remember, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you run into Uncle Dale and his power stash, make sure to rub it for 21 days good luck. It's a new month, which means he has extended the good luck offer by 1 week if you rub his power stash. Gorgeous Amy WC, thank you for that awesome super chat, and welcome to the show tonight. Let's say a big thank you to Amy, Ann, Marty, Glenn, Brian, Jeremy, Michael, Lori, Science Bob, Space Cow, Apollo, Jamie, Cat Chaser, Adam, and Black Dragon for the awesome super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the lovely support that you guys are giving us here on Spaced Out Radio. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Let's see, Buster Cherry. Well, you do have you kind of look like Chad Smith there, Buster. You kind of look like Chad Smith. Anybody agree? Look at Buster's picture down here that I posted. Look at the goatee. Look at the glasses and the ball cap. That is totally a Chad Smith lookalike right there. Totally a Chad Smith lookalike. Jose, thank you so much for adding to the super chat tonight. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. That is awesome. We're coming back in about 15 seconds, everyone. I know I missed someone here. This is going to bother me. Mary Eck, how are you? Welcome to the chat room. And here we go in 10 seconds. So let's sit back, relax, chill, get ready to get our horns up for Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Little brother is watching, coming right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. And I want to remind you and say thank you to those listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Latericious. Latericious is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight, listening in to our great guest, Sinead Whelehan. She's an experiencer, researcher of the paranormal supernatural phenomena, and we're going to continue on here with our topic of the night, aliens, UFOs. Sinead, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's a pleasure being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell my story because new stuff keeps happening, so I need the practice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We're warming you up for all the bigger shows. Let's just say, no, I'm teasing right there. Absolutely. I want to ask you in regards to experience, I want to kind of take a different angle this half hour because lately in the UFO field over the last couple of years, we have become all about proof, all about the media, and all about science when it comes to UFOs. The experiencers, for the most part, have kind of been cast aside, in my opinion, in regards to this. As an experiencer yourself, how do you feel about this? Would you agree that the experiencers are kind of getting shortchanged right now, or do you think that we're still there, but other things are more important right now?
Oh, I think that's a great question. I mean, I think that's a question that we should always keep asking because we want to make sure that we're keeping our awareness of how thanks, Dwayne, how experiencers are being treated, right? I mean, regardless of what anybody believes in any part of life, at work, in church, whatever, it really doesn't matter whether you think somebody else is right or wrong. I mean, just like you don't care what other people think you're right or wrong. Like we all need to have our experience validated by other people. And when I say validated, I mean treated with respect and valued, even if we don't agree. So, experiencers get a lot of flack. There's a lot of, they're weird, they're crazy, they're this, they're that. Meanwhile, there's bajillions of us all over the world. I mean, we're an absolutely enormous community. We're not just a bunch of weirdos off in the desert with tinfoil hats on, there's a humongous population of experiencers. And so I think it's important that they get heard. Now, whether we are getting shortchanged right now, I don't think I can really speak to that. I feel like my sense is that all of this stuff that's happening now in terms of the proof and, the nuts and bolts and all this stuff that I'm not terrifically into. I mean, definitely see that it has its place. I definitely see that it's exciting, it's fascinating, it's beautiful, it's, you know, a mystery. It gets people very excited and curious, and I think all of that is a very good thing. But you know, for me, it's really about consciousness. Like, I think it's all of this is about the development of our consciousness, and that is a much bigger conversation. But that's what I think it really is about, because I think that consciousness is source energy. And I don't believe that this is our one and only life. I think that we have many lives. And I think that now there's a lot of very, very compelling and quite convincing, if not outright proof, that there is life after death. I mean, the innumerable amount of NDE experiencers that are out there who are being open and talking about their stories, and they're being taken seriously by the medical community. You know, I would love to see that happen with experiencers. Because it is true that, you know, we are the ones who, if you talk to us, you'll see the patterns of what is happening. You'll see, you know, you'll see what kind of symbols are coming at us, what kind of messages are coming at us. And definitely in the US, you know, I am a Canadian, you're a Canadian. Definitely in the US, there's a lot of fear being put out there as, you know, they're possibly going to attack us. We have to put tons of money into defending ourselves. And I just think that's kind of unfortunate, because in my personal experience, I can only speak from my personal experience. I don't feel like I can make any grand statements about anything, because things are always changing, and truth is not only one way, right? As we were talking about earlier, 30 people, 30 different books, right? So I think that the life is shades of gray, not black and white. And so I take things like that. But from my own personal experience, it has been nothing but positive. And I really think that that needs to be the main message. And to me, in my experience, doing research and talking to many, many people and meeting many, many people in the community, it's overwhelmingly that people have had positive experiences. You know, it's a minority of people who feel that it was only terrifying and there was no benefit to take from it at all. So, you know, I think that that needs to be pushed forward, that they are here, I think, with positive intention. And I think this is all about us growing, you know, us developing further as human beings and doing better for ourselves, to each other, and to the planet. So that's my perspective on it. And I think that needs to be heard, because it's the perspective, I believe, of most experiencers. So that's one reason why we need to get heard. And I think I really do feel pretty positive about what's going on right now. I feel like all this stuff that's coming out is giving this issue legitimacy for people who need it to be made legitimate, in order to start to believe, in order to start to open up their minds and hearts to this possibility, right? So I think that there is definitely a place for this kind of rolled out narrative, where they're dropping some facts, they're dropping some, you know, details, not a lot, but some, they're dropping these videos, they're dropping some interviews, you know, like, this is definitely a controlled narrative, but it's a tool. And I think it can be a useful tool for people to start to understand that our reality is not what we think it is. And we are not alone in the universe. I mean, the universe is a massive, ever expanding force, ever expanding, right? And we know now, because of the advances of science and technology, which are incredible, we have a lot further to go, but still they're absolutely amazing, that we now know that the universe is much more alive than we ever thought that it was, and that there are tons of other planets that are like Earth, that there are other galaxies, that there are other, I mean, it's enormous. It makes no sense that we are the only conscious, living, breathing beings to inhabit any of the bajillions of planets in the universe. It makes absolutely no sense to me at all. So, you know, I think that all of this stuff that's coming out now, that is nuts and bolts, is kind of laying the foundation for experiencers to be able to come out later and be taken more seriously. That is my hope, at least.
As an experiencer as well of this unknown phenomena, one of the big things that we have a hard time getting past is there's always going to be that group of people out there promoting negativity. I always find it funny when somebody tries to say, well, you know, you didn't see that, you're making that up, you're lying. And the last time I checked, when Samantha Mowat and I were in the forest that day, in the afternoon, where there was an alien standing there in the forest looking back at us, I didn't see my critics there. I didn't see my skeptics there, or the accusers calling me a liar or or any other name in regards to that. And I always find that kind of hilarious. And long story short, how do you deal with the negativity that comes along with sharing your stories?
I really love that you asked me that. Thank you. This is my answer. It's all about how you choose to manifest yourself in the world. That really is what it's about. And that sounds like a Hallmark card, and it sounds like something everyone has always said. You know, all the spiritual leaders say this, but it seriously is true. I mean, I really, really have learned that from my own inner exploration and my own, the unfolding of my own spiritual path. So I would say that, to deal with the negativity, it's your choice whether you let it in or not. It's your choice whether you engage with it. You have a choice. And also the way that you are in the world and what you choose to focus on is what you draw towards you. So I found that through my spiritual practice, which is mainly about just, it's a lot, but if I'm going to pare it down to two essential things, opening my heart as much as I can. I know that sounds cheesy as hell, but seriously, it is very, very important because the heart, and this is also scientifically proven, the heart has a really incredible electromagnetic pulse that actually goes out into the space around you and other people feel it. So the more you nurture your heart, and I don't mean your physical heart, although your physical heart is affected, of course, because, positivity is good for your health. Frankly, it's that simple. Healthy people are happy, happier people are healthier people, essentially. But that, you're thinking about your metaphorical heart, which is really the true nature, I think, of what all of us are, which is essentially kind, compassionate, open-minded, open-hearted. Like that, I really think is our true nature, just like we are when we're born. Right? It's all this stuff that is layered onto us because we really have not done, as a human race, the greatest job of taking care of ourselves. And I think it's made us a bit beaten down, in vibration, in thinking, in open-heartedness, and that there's now this very ingrained ancient tradition of suffering. And, it gets passed on. So if we don't want to participate in that and we don't want to contribute to suffering in the world, because I think we all have a great responsibility to think about, and this to me is power, not burden. Okay, when I say responsibility, to me that's power. We all have the power and the responsibility to think about not only how are we living our lives, but how are we treating other people? How are we affecting animals? How are we affecting nature? It's not just all about us. So a spiritual practice that focuses on your heart, that draws what is going to serve you towards you. And I really mean that. I mean, it's absolutely uncanny the way that it's happened for me and continues to happen for me.
I want to ask you in regards to some press that came through in the last 10 days on experiencers. And this came from a lady known as Anjali.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't really talked about this on the show because I wasn't sure how I wanted to bring it up. And I'm going to be talking about it on my Dave 101 blog tomorrow night on the show. But I'm curious, what is your opinion of Anjali? I mean, the way everything seems staged in Washington, D.C., I mean, being rolled out in a wheelchair, for lack of better terms, even though she's walked everywhere else, the fact that, she all of a sudden is wanting to be the voice of extraterrestrial contact, and literally she has come out of nowhere. What's your opinion as an experiencer?
Well, I'm going to say that I'm not going to offer an opinion because I think that I am not nearly informed enough of her experience, who she is, what her background is, what her reality is like, what she has gone through, what she's experienced. I have absolutely no idea. And if I give you an opinion, it's just a made up something or other that I think, right? So what I'm going to tell you is what my observations are. Okay.
What are your observations?
My observations are that it has not been rolled out very well, her story. I feel like it could have been done in a way that was a little bit less off-putting for people who are not familiar with the general free-spirited weirdness that exists in our community. You know, like I think that it was done a bit strangely. I would have liked, you know, would have been great for her, I think, and also for us to be able to digest her story more easily if it was done a bit more, the best way to put it. It just felt a bit rough. You know, it felt a bit like it wasn't organized that well. And she seems to be very nervous and is not the greatest storyteller. And I don't mean that as a permanent criticism of her. I'm saying that right now in this context of her only just having come out. It seems to be really difficult for her to explain, and that I completely understand. So I have sympathy for her in that way. I definitely have sympathy for her nervousness. She's taking a massive risk considering her professional background, which has been verified. So, you know, it's an interesting situation. She's telling a very interesting story. I think it could be true. It might not be true. I'm open to both possibilities. I'm sort of just watching. I'm watching because I think that it's very intriguing that she has come forward in the way that she has. She's definitely taking an absolutely massive risk, and that's not something somebody would do for absolutely no reason, you know, or for some made up story that they may or may not be able to validate later. So I think she's interesting. I think she's very anxious, both in telling the story, but also in wanting it to get out and wanting to be honest about what she thinks that she's experiencing. So I don't feel that she's lying. I feel like she genuinely believes that this is happening. Whether or not it is actually happening, I think is a question, but we will find out sooner or later, right? Like, I think something's going to happen that will give us more information. So I'm just watching and waiting and listening.
See, I'm pretty much of the same boat. Watching, waiting, and listening. The one thing that I will say, and you may agree with me and others may agree with me or disagree with me, but for most experiencers out there, especially multiple experiencers, you can look at someone and within a couple minutes know whether they are an experiencer or not. Whether it's a photo, whether it's in person, whether it's by voice, you can just tell if they're one of you or not. And one of the big things that I was noticing with her is there was a lot of dramatic flair in what she was doing. And I don't think it was the right time. I think there is such a pull on ufology right now, from science to government action to the media's coverage of this, that it wasn't necessary. It was wrong timing. I think she's an experiencer, but is getting very bad advice from people who are not in a position to really bring out something like this. The other thing, too, is if you look deep, if she really truly did work for the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, is this another spook out there who is trying to bring another angle in, whether it's positive or whether it's part of some type of operation? We don't know. We have to wait and see and find out what the group is. I mean, Nicole Sackage did some work looking into her, you know, and Nicole is very gritty when she wants to look into someone. She doesn't mind getting her hands dirty on that. And we find out that she's also claiming to be an actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Nicole post about that today. I responded to that, actually. Yeah.
And to me, it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of bad advice. And I don't think it's very healthy for the experiencer community for her to roll out in a wheelchair in Washington, D.C. to try and hold a press conference to say the aliens are coming into a mountain cave and we're taking a team there to meet them. Well, why there? And then, you know, earlier on she had stated about releasing a photo of the aliens, which happened to be a cartoon drawing of what they look like.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the edge. I'm going to rant about this tomorrow during our Dave 101 session, because I think experiencers are going to get a very, very bad light out of this. and it's already a fragile topic. But I'm concerned, and I'm curious your opinion, if you're as concerned as much as I am, about the idea that she is potentially playing the experiencer community as a fool.
Or she's part of the controlled narrative of, the UFO, the government's knowledge of UFOs and ETs and all of this stuff. They're definitely deliberately dropping this, bit by bit by bit in a very controlled way, and it could be part of that. So, who knows? Like, I really prefer not to assume the negative unless I know for sure that there is a reason to. But I also wouldn't assume right away that she's absolutely legitimate and is completely, all of this is completely factual, because I also don't know. So, I feel like that I do agree with you that it doesn't help the appearance of the experiencer community for people who don't know the experiencer community because of the way that the story has been rolled out so far. Like, that's kind of what I meant earlier. But I think that the people who did do it, I know one of them actually, that they are very, very good people. They have really good intentions, and they did this with good intentions. They supported her. They are supporting her with good intentions, right? So
yes, but you can have good intentions, but still screw things up.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think we're both saying that right now. Like, I'm not necessarily screwing it up, but because I don't know what it's like to, organize something like that, especially in Washington and with that kind of press. Like, I have no idea what it's like to do something like that. So maybe I would suck at it too, for all I know, right? But yes, I agree that it definitely could have been done better. And I think it would have been helpful to our community if it had been done better, yes. The actress thing, I've only just discovered because Nicole posted that in a group chat that we're in today. So I haven't actually delved into that yet. I would say that it's not crazy for a woman who works in the FBI to also be an actress. Like, people do all kinds of things. They have all kinds of hobbies. In the context of what she's doing now, it is a little bit like, But again, we don't really know anything for sure. And so I'm not somebody who decides on things before I know for sure. I just watch and I wait and I listen. And when I know, that I feel confident that what I'm deciding is based on, the information that I have. But I definitely share your concern about the experiencer community needing to be supported properly and needing to be represented properly. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Yes.
Yeah. And with a minute to go here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour, I'm kind of angry about this. And I don't usually get angry about things like this, but I'm kind of angry about this because, for a lot of us who've experienced multiple contact, alien abduction, ET contact, multiple UFO sightings, many people have had their lives changed by this. Some for the good and some for the not so good. People have lost friends. People have lost family. People have lost jobs.
Yes.
And to me, seeing someone try and play this out that they are holding the holy grail of ET contact and putting on a show for it the way they did, it reeks of bad taste and bad nature for a very innocent and naive community that just wants to learn what is happening to them. Sinead, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Sinead Whelehan is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to learn more about her experiences when we come back on the show, because there's nothing we like more than talking a little woo on the mighty SOR. So stay tuned. If you want some woo, we're going to deliver right after this.
Talking a little woo.
All right, we're clear.
I love the talking a little woo part. That was great.
Oh, yeah, we like woo here.
Yeah, all woo is good woo, or most woo is good woo anyway.
I'm going to be back in 2 seconds. I'm just going to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. All right. So do we have an official Chad Smith podcast now? Is that what we're dealing with here? Because I'm trying to watch this. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Look at Alien Probe Master here, lubing up Chad Smith. Starlight, how are you? YJ, what's going on? Yes. Valro, Magic 8 Ball. Does FAP use a mattress as a pillow? That's awesome. Hey, Paul on Twitch, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yes. Yes, they will. Yes, they will, ufologist. Yeah, the Chad Smith bot is buying all of our followers. I got accused of that again tonight, by the way, by the same slanderous show. Yeah. Yeah, apparently we buy our followers around here. Hey, bonjour, Pascal. Comment ça va? This man right here, Pascal, is the man who is responsible for taking me down the rabbit hole. I love this man. He is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life. All right. Walker Dale, how are you? No, I don't plan on having Anjali on the show anytime soon. I was debating it. I'm not going to lie. I was debating it right now. I'm too angry over it. And I'll explain on the rant tomorrow. Yes. And Excalibur back, changed from our chat room over to Twitch. How are you? Yeah. Howard S., good to see you. Yes. Pascal is, you know what's funny is all of my experiences that or the majority of them that I have had, I could say Pascal was there for about 50 to 60% of them. And the funny part about it is, it's all because of him, because he made me a weirdo. He totally made me a weirdo. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Chris Mo in Austria, how are you? I want to say a big thank you to Jose, Amy, Ann, Marty, Glenn, Brian, Jeremy, Michael, Lori, Science Bob, Space Cow, Apollo, Jamie, Cat Chaser, Adam, and Black Dragon for the amazing super chats tonight. Really appreciate it. And, we love you all. And thank you for the love to all the veterans out there as well. Here we go. Second half of Space Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining them. I really appreciate all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's an experiencer night tonight. Sinead Whelehan is on with us. Whelehan. That's what I said 3 times. 3 times. Whelehan is here with us tonight. And we are talking about her own experiences with UFOs, aliens, paranormal, and the path that she has taken, because it's a different path and a unique path that the majority of the population out there will never go down, but she is taking it on herself. And I want to ask you, Sinead, as we continue, Whelehan, in regards to your own duty to do this for yourself. Why is it important to you to go down this path?
I can't not. Like, I literally can't not. You know, like, I remember when I was around 15 years old and I was contemplating what I wanted to do with my life. And I thought I might want to be a writer because I love writing. I've always loved writing and reading and all that stuff. So I was really thinking about it. And he's since passed away, but I had an uncle. I used to call him an uncle, but he was really like a second cousin once removed or something. But he was a very, very successful writer living in New York City. And he was also a really lovely person. So my mother and brother and I went to visit him in New York once. I was around 15. And I asked him, why did you decide to become a writer? And he said, I couldn't be anything else. And we talked about that because I had never heard anybody say something like that before, that they literally could not do they couldn't not do. No, I'm not saying this right. I'm getting tired. They can't help themselves. They have to do what it is that they're doing. Like, they feel compelled, you know? And so it's the same with me. It's the same feeling that I had, which I now am able to understand, right? The same feeling I had literally all my life, that there's something. And the only way that I can get there was just working really hard to be the best human being that I could. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but it really is the truth. Like, I started journaling when I was 10 years old. You know, I put myself in therapy when I was 15. I was a complete nerd about it, you know. And I lived in a Buddhist temple for a while. And, you know, I lived in England in the countryside, and I lived in Japan. And, you know, I was constantly seeking because I had this feeling. And I knew that in order to find whatever it was, and this was very unconscious, right? Like, I'm not super, super conscious of this feeling. It's just there. It's just a complete part of me. And that's what motivated me to keep seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking and trying everything. You know, I was going to be a Buddhist nun. Like, I shaved off all my hair and gave everything I owned away and lived in a Buddhist temple. And I was training to be a Buddhist nun, like a Tibetan Buddhist nun. That didn't work out. You know, I tried so many different things, like becoming a yogi, like just so many things, you know, traveling, so many things. It doesn't actually matter. The whole point is that I was just exploring and trying to find whatever it was that was motivating me to do this personal work and do this seeking, right? And then I found it. So it's incredibly confirming for me, and it just energizes me further to keep doing this. I cannot not do it. I have to. And in fact, I'm leaving my profession because it is, I very thoroughly believe in education, and I love children, and I've always only worked with children. Like, my very first job up until now, I've always worked with young people, teenagers and children. So I taught high school for 12 years and so on and so forth. But they are very important to me, but I don't believe in this education system anymore. I feel very disillusioned, and it also dominates my life. You know, like, it literally dominates my life. I work all the time, and that's not how I want to spend my life. And ever since all of this has happened to me, to the expanding and expanding, especially recently, as I was mentioning, then I can't not follow it. Like, I have to make room in my life for that. So I'm going to be leaving teaching and doing something else that I can devote myself more thoroughly to whatever this is that's happening to me. Like, that's how convincing it is for me. That's how compelling, you know? So it's not like, why intellectually, why did I want to get on this path, or what keeps me going? It is like the base drive of who I am. I can't explain it better than that. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. And I am, you know, as someone who, I kind of do that with this show each and every night, because when you go down that rabbit hole to try and figure out what is going on, it does become life consuming. You know, the people who are literally surrounded and surrounding you, they don't understand. Your family doesn't understand. Your friends don't understand that this is something that is necessary for you to travel on this path. It's not just a calling. It's not like trying to perfect checkers or any type of video game. This is about your life and why these experiences are happening.
Yeah, and it's also not just about me. Like, you know, I think that every single one of us is far more energetically powerful than we realize that we are. And that's also scientifically proven too. You know, like we are literally vibrating, expending, how can I put this? Like vibrations of feeling and of energy that other people pick up and animals pick up and nature picks up. You know, I mean, this is proven in science that we are constantly letting off these waves of energy that are translated by other living things around us. So we are very powerful, you know, and I think that every single one of us needs to claim that more, especially at this key time for our planet. And I don't have any big beliefs about like the ascension or something. I don't know what is happening, but something is happening. And it sure is ramping up my experience, you know, so, and that of many people that I know who are in this community and who are dedicated practitioners in contact of, in whatever way works for them. So, you know, we really need to take ownership of our power. Thank you, Amy. I love that you love hearing this. Yeah, I good. Thank you for saying that. We need to we need to take responsibility more, you know, for our part in everything that is happening around the world, because we are not as separate from each other as we think that we are. And, you know, this is a collective. It really, really is. And we don't really behave that way. So I think that we need to start thinking about that a bit more and start thinking about how we can become a bit more connected to each other in ways that are more high vibe, you know, which sounds incredibly hippie, but I don't really care because it's true. You know, you have to be able to get into that high vibe to have these experiences. And that means acting with love, with patience, with compassion, you know, like I'm flawed. I definitely make mistakes, but I try really, really hard to put that kind of vibe out into the world, because what is coming back is amazing, amazing, beyond amazing, you know, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's the most important thing in my life and always will be. Like, this is the reason why I feel like I'm here, you know, and I never thought I would have that feeling. I always met people who knew exactly what they wanted to do in life, or, you know, just seemed like they had their feet firmly rooted in the ground. Like they just knew who they were. They felt at home in the world. And I never felt that way. I never felt like I belonged anywhere. I didn't understand a lot of human behavior. I still don't. I still struggle with a lot of ways that we are, you know, and it's confusing for me. And I didn't understand why I was confused either. So pair that with high sensitivity and empathic abilities and all this crazy psychic stuff and downloads, you know, that are happening to me when I'm a child before I have the vocabulary to explain to anybody what's going on or ask for, you know, feedback or insight. It's been pretty nuts. And I just believe that because it keeps telling me and showing me this, that there's something about this that is very big. You know, like it's not just about me and my experience. This is about all of us. Like you were talking about, Dave, the value of experiencers. You know, part of that is the community that we are creating and the conversations that we are having about how we really want to be living and how we really want to be treating each other. And I think that's a really good thing. You know, like we're pushing boundaries in thinking, and we're pushing boundaries in conventions. And that's why we are called the weirdos and the crazies and all of that stuff, which I personally think is a badge of honor.
One more question before I get to some audience questions here. Are you followed? Are you visited on a consistent basis to the point that you feel you are making true communication with any type of extraterrestrial or ultra-terrestrial?
Absolutely 100%. Absolutely 100%. Yes. And I know that because I have asked for validation and received validation. And especially recently, it's I will tell you about it. I think a couple people were asking me to tell this story, so I'm happy to do that now, if that's okay with you, Dave.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so here's what happened. So I went to present with Grant Cameron at not exactly a conference, more like a symposium called the Worldwide Metaphysical Tribe, which is organized and run by my friend Deb Frew in Franklin Grove, Illinois, a little town in Illinois. We didn't get to see Nicole, unfortunately. She lives in Illinois, but she's 3 hours away, and she was participating in another event. Anyway, so we were in Illinois, and you know, it's a 3-day event basically with speakers, and I'm doing a presentation, and then I'm assisting Grant with the presentation, and we have good friends, or I have good friends that are there that you know, are doing presentations, and it's a really great vibe and really great people and really interesting stuff going on. So it's a really terrific event. I'm feeling really good. So on the 3rd day that I was there, and I'm just going to point out the 3 again, because this, I'm telling you, happens all the time in connection with paranormal and spiritual experiences that I have. 3 shows up so much, and it's 333 or 369 or, you know, any variation of 3, mostly 369. Anyway, so it's the 3rd day of the event. It's Saturday, and my friend Tara goes up and gives a wonderful presentation, and then we have a break. That there's another presentation that's going to be happening with 2 friends of mine, Kimberly Porth, otherwise known as Kimberly Marie, and Marcel Vidovich, and they are leaders in the CE5 field. They trained with Dr. Stephen Greer. They have now been doing their own thing for quite some time, where they do workshops and they lead CE5s and they do retreats and all kinds of stuff. They're very dedicated to assisting people with making contact, and they're really good at it. So they were doing this wonderful presentation about what CE5 is and how it works and all this stuff. So around 3 o'clock, and I only know that because I knew it was about an hour into the presentation, and then someone else pointed out to me, oh, that would have been around 3 o'clock. So again, another 3. I am sitting in the very front row of this sort of outdoor or open air space that has a whole bunch of chairs. There's about 50 people there, and Kim and Marcel are up front, and they're doing their presentation. But I'm sitting in the very front row, and Kim and Marcel are over there. Right, so I'm looking this way, and then there's a screen that they're using to present. So I'm kind of, my eyes are doing this, and I have no reason to look directly in front of me. There's nothing there that I should be looking at that's necessary for this presentation, right? So my focus is this way. About an hour into the presentation, I started feeling a bit funny. I don't know how to explain that feeling. I just suddenly became aware that I felt a bit funny. That's all I can say. And then my attention was pulled over to this hedge. So again, this is an open air space, and it's situated in a garden that is beside a B&B, an Airbnb. So there's flowers and hedges and trees and stuff all the way around the periphery. And so behind the screen that Kim and Marcel are using for their presentation is just a hedge, a tall kind of evergreen hedge. And my attention is pulled over to this hedge. And then it pretty much immediately started to get quite amazing, because what happened was this being materialized in front of the hedge. And so I've had lots of contact with them. I've seen them as light beings, but I've never actually been, you know, sitting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a sunny day in Illinois with 50 other people, seeing with my eyes while I'm fully awake a being. I have never seen that. That has not happened to me before. So this tall, misty, humanoid, distinctly humanoid shaped being shows up in front of this hedge. And I was just like could not believe my eyes. It was a lot like the Jaguar experience in Peru. I was just like blinking and thinking, I'm making this up. Is this really happening? You know, but it's definitely there. And it's just standing there, and it's standing very calmly, arms at sides, you know, legs a bit apart, just firmly standing. And it's directly in front of me, you know, at a bit of a distance, but right in my line of sight. And then it started beaming this absolutely massive amount of energy at me. And what happened was I got completely consumed with this vibration, which was also, I've experienced this kind of crazy vibration before in Peru when I met the ETs, and then when I had my awakening in 2019. So it was a familiar feeling. And I've never been scared, and I was not scared. I was not scared. I was not nervous during any of this at all. I was completely okay with it, but it was big. So this massive amount of energy is just being like cannonballed at me, you know, just beamed at me like a huge headlight from this being. And this thought comes into my head, and I was sure at the time that it was my own thought, but then afterwards I wasn't so sure, and I'll tell you why. I thought, this is an energy merge. And then I immediately thought, why would I think that? I don't know what an energy merge is. I mean, I know about them, but I've never had one. I don't know enough to determine if this is an energy merge. So I remember thinking, that's a little bit, why would I think that, right? And so as well as the massive amount of vibration, it's also buzzing and tingling and then numbness. So I can't feel my mouth. I can't feel this part of my face. I start to not be able to feel my arms a little bit, my legs a little bit. There's just numbness. My mouth is so numb. I can't feel. It's like when you go to the dentist. You know, I couldn't feel anything. And I'm just sitting there and I'm breathing and I'm just like, wow. And Kim is up at the front doing her presentation, but she sees me and she can see something's going on. So she comes over to me at the end of the presentation to check on me, and then something else ends up happening. But in any case, I'm just sitting there and I'm just breathing and I'm trying to, you know, I'm just saying, okay, I'm open. Give me what you need to give me. You know, I'm here. I'm going to receive it the best that I can. But it is so huge. This energy, so huge. And so then my vision is blurry and I lose my depth perception. I can't see where surfaces are anymore. I'm not sure where the floor is anymore. And I start feeling a little bit like I'm underwater or I'm in, you know, cosmic soup or something like that. So having this huge experience, trying to just let it come in, having this thought, this is an energy merge. And then an hour goes by during which I am just trying to sit there and just receive this. You know, I have no idea where anything is. Like I can't see surfaces. Right. I just know that I'm sitting on a chair. And at the same time, it's like the edges of my body kind of became less defined. Like I don't know how to explain that exactly, but it was like my edges were blurry or something, if that makes any sense. And then the presentation ended. Kim comes over to me and she says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, blah, blah, like I'm trying to talk and my mouth is all numb. And I managed to get out enough to tell her, you know, a little bit about what's going on. And I said, I kind of need you. She's an energy worker, so I knew she'd be able to handle this and sit with me through it. So she brings me over to this little pavilion that's a little private area next to the presentation area. And she just sits there with me. And as soon as she sits, she takes my hands and puts her knees against my knees. And she's just like, whoa. As she says, she starts feeling it. She says, this energy is so big. I'm starting to feel this down my spine and feeling this in my hands. The hair on the back of her head starts to stand up. And then she says to me, this seems like an energy merge. And I said, that's interesting, because I just thought that a minute ago sitting over there. I didn't know why I thought that. So now that was kind of validation, right? So that's all I can say is that happened. I don't know if it was an energy merge. I don't really know exactly what happened except this experience. So anyway, we're sitting there, and then and she's kind of talking me through it. And at one point I had to close my eyes because it was so overwhelming and I needed to kind of reduce my senses a little bit. So I closed my eyes, and when that happened, and this is where it gets a lot more interesting. It starts to get even more interesting. I started to feel a bit of relief because it was as if all the energy was flowing from my extremities up into my heart chakra, like my chest right here. Okay, so right in the middle of my chest, it's all just going, it's flowing up from my arms, from my legs, from the top of my head. It's just flowing in there like it's a vacuum that's sucking it all in. And at the same time, I see the core of my body as this bright column of light, like really thick, big column of light. That's never happened before. None of this has ever happened before. And while that's happening, and my eyes are closed, I see somewhere off in front of me this point of light that is being directed right at the middle of my forehead. Also totally new. I've never had any particular third eye stuff. I've never had anything happen to the middle of my forehead. That's also totally new. So I'm verbalizing all of this to Kim as it's happening. And then I started to feel a little bit more able to walk. And it was boiling hot. So she helped me get up, very slowly make my way inside. Like I literally couldn't see where the floor was. And I do not have terrible sight. I mean, I wear glasses, but it's not, you know, I can see without my glasses on clearly, right? So I'm just really, really slowly making my way, checking to make sure that the floor is there before I put my feet down. She gets me inside, and I lay down on this carpet in a common area because I could not make it upstairs. It was just walking was taking way too much effort. So I lie down on this carpet in this common living room area, and, you know, it's filled with bright lights, and there's a psychic on the couch giving a reading. And I said, you know, it's okay. Is it okay if I'm here? Because I really, really need to lie down. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. So Kim helps me lie down, puts a blanket over me, and then she stays with me for a bit, and then she has to go do something. So she leaves. And again, I'm so totally overstimulated. Like this vibration was unbelievable. It was huge. So I decided to take my cochlears off, my cochlear implants, because I'm deaf, as we were mentioning at the beginning of the show. I have a 90% hearing loss. So I took my cochlears off so that I would be in silence, and then that would help, right, with all the stimulation I was experiencing. And then I get this kind of a partial message, something about being in the dark. You need to be in the dark, or something about needing to be in the dark. So I'm thinking, okay, I cannot get up right now. This room is full of very bright lights. There's lights in the ceiling. There's lamps. There's these two people in the room. So I go, okay, how am I going to do this? And I put my hand over my eyes like that. So when I do that, right away, there's one eye in front of me, and it winks. And I've seen that before in the sky once before. So I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. Then there's two little points of light that become eyes, and it's literally like the being is there, like right in front of my face. And there's two clear eyes with expression, with intelligence, looking at me, like very intensely looking at me, and not in a negative way. None of this is negative. I want to emphasize that. But this was very intense. And it was like the being was saying, we're busy right now. Like you and this, we're busy. You need to be focusing on this. You need to be focusing only on this. And then I realized that I couldn't be in that room. So I kind of struggled to get up. Grant comes down the stairs at that point and helps me get up and helps me make it upstairs to my room. He goes to dinner. I tell him I cannot possibly go to dinner and to, you know, make up a story about what's happening because I just can't explain what's happening yet. And I lie down on my bed, and I'm just totally, I can't explain how big this energy was. It was just something else. And so I'm just lying there like, oh my God, trying to digest it. And then I see the being again. And this time I see about half, the upper half, and it's standing in front of, at the foot of my bed, which is for some reason, as you probably know, Dave, a typical place for experiencers to see ETs. I don't know why that is, but they often end up at the foot of somebody's bed, right?
Sinead, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are now through 2 hours here on Spaced Out Radio. Sinead Whelehan is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we're going to continue with her story, take audience questions in the next half hour. Then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to go to John's Stetson John for the UFO report.
I probably got way too detailed.
All right, we're clear.
Was that way too detailed? Be honest.
No, it was awesome.
Okay.
It was awesome.
There's so much, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Just keep going. If we don't get audience questions, we don't get audience questions. That's the unfortunate part. But we'll do our best.
Okay, so I should just keep going right now?
No, we'll wait. Because the radio audience needs to hear it too.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. I'm still in it, you know, like I'm still feeling it a lot. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
I love this. I love the experiences. This is what fun.
Yeah, the mystery, you know, I don't really need answers. I'm not like super attached to having super solid answers. I think that things are very, very fluid, you know, and we just like to put them in boxes. But I like the mystery. I like the possibility.
I mean, man, I want answers. I want answers.
I think we'll get them, but I'm not sure we're going to get them here in the 3D, you know?
Well, either way, I want answers, and I want to fly the ship. That's what I want to do.
Agreed. That would be quite amazing. Yeah.
I want to fly the ship.
Yeah. Maybe you are another you in another dimension.
No, I want that UFO. That's not good enough for me. That's not good enough for me. I try and remain a little skeptical on things as much as I do the woo. I try to remain a little bit skeptical, and I want that UFO to land in my backyard.
Totally. Yeah, I
want to walk out of here after this show one night, okay, and see a UFO in my backyard. And I want to walk up to that UFO this time instead of chickening out the way I did last time. I want to walk up to that UFO, and I'm going to knock on that damn thing, and I'm going to say, "You bastards better let me in, and let's go for a flight."
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave. If you want evidence or proof or whatever, I can tell you 2 stories, if the audience would like, that will kind of, I think they might just blow your mind. Like, they're pretty incredible. I still can't get over them. Like, one of them, I still get goosebumps when I think about it. But validation, like actual physical validation.
Yeah, we can get into that once we come back. Yep.
Yeah, if that's what the audience wants to ask about. Whatever they want to ask, I will answer. So.
And I want another experience like I had with Samantha Mowat with the alien in the forest.
Yeah.
This time I want to go up to it.
I wish that for you too, Dave.
I want to go up to it. I want to say hello, and I want to say, just shake its hand, give it a hug. And if it shoots me, that's a good death. If it takes me in
I agree.
Not many people could say they've been killed by aliens on this planet. And
I totally agree. I
procreated. I'm good. All right. Quickly here. Hello, gorgeous Tristan Stevens. Welcome back to the show. And a hello to the stunning and talented Amy Vegas O from Las Vegas. Sinead is awesome. Keep going, girl. Damn right she is. MD claiming to be Chad Smith. Pascal, you have no idea how many times I've closed my eyes to fly the ship. It's time for the real thing. Super Drake, dealing with the aftermath of the hurricane. My goodness, are you okay, Drake? Please give us an update. Is your house okay? That's scary, man. Honestly, I'm feeling you right now, buddy. Please give us an update, man.
Yeah.
405er, good to see you. And the Quick, what's happening? The Quick is so quick, they're late for the show. See the humor there? Nobody got that. Okay, 2 questions for you, Sinead.
All right.
What's your opinion of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
I'm totally in favor of that. In fact, I will every once in a while have eggs and toast for dinner just because it's the best. Have I committed a crime, Dave? Are we no longer friends? Do you still like me?
Well, you've dropped down the scale quite a bit. All right. I do not accept
that. I do not accept that, Dave. I think that pancakes are a wonderful, wonderful dinner, especially with yogurt and blueberries and other fresh fruit and maple syrup that you made yourself.
Great job for breakfast. See, Howard here. Look at Howard.
No, dinner can be whatever you want.
No,
it's a world of possibilities.
The reason why they call it breakfast food, Sinead. Second, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Devil's Tower. Okay. Are you on team?
Whatever.
Are you on Team Stump or Team Rock for Devil's Tower?
Team Stump or Team Rock?
Yes.
Okay, explain a bit more.
Devil's Tower from.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think it's a rock or do you think it's a tree stump?
Oh, like in real life?
Yes.
I think it's a rock.
You may have to find a guest here for the next hour of the show here.
I'm failing miserably.
Strong here. Hello, gorgeous Heidi. How are you? And Ed Parnell, good to see you. Here we go with hour 3, everyone. We may have a guest.
Would you like to
Hey, I'm honest. Even if it makes me lose points, I'm honest.
For all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Latericious. Latericious is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight. I don't know if this is fortunately or unfortunately, with Sinead Whelehan. Found out some disappointing news during the break. She is a big fan of eating breakfast foods for dinner. And you know that I absolutely loathe this breakfast foods for dinner crap. There's a reason why they are titled breakfast foods, because they are not meant for dinner. Prove me wrong.
You're throwing me under the bus right away, Dave.
Right away.
Brutal. Good thing I can take it.
Right away, I have to throw you under the bus because there's just no choice here. I almost switched guests. I almost, got Howard from the chat room. Almost got Howard from the chat room.
Oh my goodness, Dave! I am so thoroughly insulted right now. I can't even tell you.
No, but that's not my fault. That's not my fault. You know, you eat pancakes for dinner and eggs.
Whatever. Dinner for dinner, man. Whatever. You and your rigid thinking, having breakfast for breakfast. Come on, loosen up a bit. Turn it upside down and see what happens.
No.
Experiment.
Like Tristan says, no longer friends. No longer friends. All right. While you're here, we might as well talk some alien stuff here because that's kind of why we brought you on. And, the big thing for you is your experiences are continuing and they are, pushing forward and it is increasing on a daily basis as you work towards the grander communication to figure out, not only why this is happening, but how and all the 5 W's that go along with that. For you, as you experience all of this phenomena going on, the contact that you're having, has it ever come to the point for you that you have been introduced to technology, downloads, maybe flown a UFO?
Downloads, absolutely. I had particularly a lot of them, very intense experiences. Again, a lot has come just so much. Again, energy and vibration, like that's really what it sounds like. And so, I think I was around 9 to maybe age 11 and got just a whole bunch of them. And that's where I started becoming aware of front me and back me, this feeling that there was some part of me that understood everything that was going on. And even if the front of me didn't totally understand what was happening, back me did. And that's all I needed to know. I just took comfort in knowing that what was coming in was landing somewhere in my awareness, my knowledge, my consciousness, and that, sooner or later I would have some more access to it. So downloads, yes. Flying the craft, not that I know of. That would be amazing. I've been inside a UFO once. I've seen 2 UFOs. What's interesting about my experience is that it's not only UFOs and ETs. Like there's been a huge amount of weirdness that has happened. And it's a lot of different kinds of stuff. So it's been quite interesting. And I feel like that's I like that, because I feel like it is everything. It's not just one thing. I think that there's a lot going on that we don't fully understand or are able to conceive or perceive, and that it manifests in a lot of different ways, and that we just need to be open to that. Like, I think that's around us all the time. I think that, to use another cheesy phrase, magic is real. It really is. Like, the world is a wonderfully mysterious place, and all we have to do is just be open to that, and it starts to come to us. Because as my favorite poet and did I just say poet and visionary said, Sufi, the Sufi master Rumi, I really am getting tired, I'm sorry. He said, what you want wants you. So Rumi said that a really, really, really long time ago. And he says a lot of things that I resonate with. There are these old truths, that all the wise ones have said over very, very many years that I think continue to be true to this day. And so one of them is that we need to realize that everything is energy, and that we have control over what we draw into our lives by how we choose to manifest our energy. It's really just that simple. So if you want contact, you need to feel that wholeheartedly. You have to beam that out. You have to set that as a firm intention and have no fear. Like, these are things that we can actually make happen if we want to, by putting out that energy, by putting out that vibration. Dave's nightmare hell is a planet where only breakfast food is available. That is sad and true. Yes.
Mm-hmm. There is hell on this planet. There really is.
Hell is a state of mind.
Not when it comes to breakfast foods for dinner or people playing soccer. Those are two things that we could just do without. Anyways, moving on here. For you, as you delve into this, what role do you take within yourself in order to gain this contact and this information?
Well, if I was going to narrow it down to one thing, it's about taking responsibility. And again, that sounds horribly nerdy, but what I mean when I say responsibility is I mean power, and actually more accurately, empowerment. Because what I started to realize, and I was forced to face this when I was living in the Buddhist temple, because you had to do some really serious looking at yourself, and, looking at your selfishness, your anger, your, all this stuff. So, Dave, can you say the question again? I'm so sorry. I'm getting super tired.
How do you prepare yourself for your own contact and moving your own spirituality forward?
Thank you. So, yeah, in terms of taking responsibility, thank you. It really is about owning all of yourself, like even the stuff that you do not want to look at. And everybody has stuff about themselves that they do not want to look at, that we want to blame other people for. We want to say that's them, not me. But one of the things that I learned when I was living in that temple that I will never forget, because it's one of the most useful, helpful things, wisest things I've ever learned, is that the vast majority of the time, when there's somebody that I don't like, there's something that I don't like about someone, it's usually something I don't like about myself. And the only reason why I don't like it about them is because I don't like it in myself. Whereas if I like myself, I like most people. I see the best in people if I see the best in myself. Like they're intertwined. You can't really have one without the other. It's like that very, very old expression, if you're on a plane and the plane starts to go down, you give yourself oxygen first and then the people around you. So it all starts with personal work. I really firmly believe this, because it's been absolutely 100% true for me, that the more I choose to confront myself and take responsibility for mistakes I make, how I treat other people, how I treat myself, how I, how can I grow from these things? It's not like, oh my God, I've been terrible, bad me, I need to be more humble or something. It's just really honestly looking at yourself and thinking, how can I be better? How can I do better? How can I learn from this? How can I become wiser as a result of this experience or this challenge or this problem? Right? So to me, it's about empowering yourself by owning who you really are as honestly as you're able to. And it's not a weight of responsibility. Responsibility is a word that has a really negative connotation, but to me, it's about power. So, I feel like that's what we need to do. There's one of the downloads I got when I was a kid is that each one of us is a universe. Each one of us is a universe, right? And that the universe in each of us is the universe also. That we are one and the same thing, right? That this is just a container that we're walking through in this lifetime. This body is not us. This is what houses us in this lifetime so we can learn whatever it is we need to learn. That's what I believe. So, we need to do that. We need to take it seriously. And, it's made my life better. It really, really, really has. It's made me a better person. It's made my life better. And I believe that it set the stage for helping me be able to receive this kind of contact, which really does have a lot to do with your mindset and your heart set.
Do you believe then that you have a message that you are supposed to bring down from this extraterrestrial contact towards your friends, the UFO community, fellow citizens of this planet?
I don't really. I understand why you're asking that question, but I don't really like that question, not from you, but just in general, because I have a bit of an issue with people calling themselves gurus and leaders and, presenting as if they know everything, in whatever capacity. I have a bit of a problem with that because I think that, and again, I can only speak from my own experience, but in my experience, the people who really are wise and really are humble and really are deeply thoughtful and open-hearted and, advanced human beings are the ones who do not say that they are. They just are. They don't have to talk about it. They don't have to make a point of saying it. They don't have to verbalize it or expect praise as a result. They just are that way. And they walk through life like that. So I just feel like, I'm sorry, I'm not saying I'm that kind of person. I'm saying that I don't want to say, yes, I have a message and this is a message for humanity, because I'm just learning. I'm just learning as best that I can. I'm just trying to really absorb all of this the best that I can, learn from it, utilize it, integrate it, help it enrich my life, and share my story so that I can encourage other people. Because I think, there's this thing about if you have an ET experience, you're special, right? I don't believe in that. I think that, we need to be really careful with making ourselves feel special and taking on, like, I'm a guru or I had this amazing experience, so therefore I know everything. Like, I think it's more important that we share experiences with each other, that we listen to each other, and that it's a collaborative community effort. Because I think we all have a message, like all of the experiencers have a message, which is we need to be doing better for ourselves and for the planet. That is repeated over and over and over again. And also no nuclear war.
That seems to be a profound message from a lot of ET contactees. It always seems to go about nuclear weapons. It always has to be about the way we're treating our planet, how we need free energy, how we have to love one another, become more divine with what we are doing as a species on this planet. Now, my question for you regarding that is, since the message seems so clear through literally hundreds or thousands of experiencers, who have the same message that's allegedly come from ET contact, do you feel that with everything going on in the world right now, that this is even possible to get those messages out there, let alone try and solve them for yourself?
Oh yeah. I mean, impossible, no, but very daunting. Absolutely. Yes. I think we're seeing breakdowns of thank you, Black Dragon. We're seeing breakdowns of a lot of how we have operated for a very long time. You know what I mean? So I see things changing very, very dramatically, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing. I think it could be scary and unsettling and stressful and dramatic, but I'm not sure that in the long run that it's a entirely bad thing. Even though it's going to be really, really hard for a lot of people. But and this is again going to sound cheesy and hippie, but honestly, I have a very, very strong connection to this planet. I love this planet very deeply, and I've always felt that way in a really like overwhelming way, and always thought, why am I so emotional about this? But in light of my recent experiences, you know, I really understand why I feel this overwhelming love for this planet. You know, it is the most incredible place. It is more beautiful than any possible art or invention that any of us can possibly conceive of. Nature is magic. Nature is what we are all from. You know, it's literally given us every single thing that we have in life. It's come from nature. You know, nature has inspired innovation, creativity, inventions. So, you know, I believe that Mother Earth is, or Gaia, or whatever you want to call her, planet Earth, doesn't matter to me, that it's an incredibly powerful energy and that we are not respecting it, and it's letting us know that it has not been respected. I think that's one aspect. Another is that it's time for certain things to change dramatically. And third is, I think that we really are facing a huge shift in global consciousness. And I think that because we live in the 3D, and in the 3D, the holistic way of being is duality, you know, the yin yang, the so-called good and bad that cannot exist without each other in this dimension. That as things are getting scarier and worse, apparently, they are also shifting in a really incredible way. And we're seeing that in our community, right? And we're seeing people wake up more than ever all over the globe. And people are having ET experiences more than ever all over the globe. And we get to share it because of the internet. And that's something that's new. You know, we get to create this global network, global community where we can all listen to each other and support each other. So I really believe in that collective energy. You know, I really, 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 really do strongly. And I don't see the point in you're right, I'm wrong, you know, this is bad and scary and evil, maybe, you know, like I think it's right to have concerns, definitely. And we have to think logically about what's happening. But I think there's something a lot bigger going on than what our government is or isn't doing, for example. You know, and that all of us have a part to play and all of us have power. I really believe that. And so I know that from working really hard on claiming my own and seeing the results in my life, you know. So that's how I feel about it.
No, and I can see that as we got about 5 minutes to go with you tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Sinead Whelehan is our guest talking about ET contact. For you, what beings have you communicated with? Have you communicated? Have they shown themselves to you?
Well, definitely just recently, yes. Also, what I was going to mention is that after this recent experience I had in Illinois, a whole lot more has happened that has confirmed that initial experience. And one was a photograph that was taken of me later that same day at night during a CE5, where it was pitch black. And because I'm deaf, again, I have a 90% hearing loss, I could not hear any of the conversation because I have to actually see people to hear them. I have to see your facial expression for context. I have to see your body language for context. I have to see your mouth as well as the audio, right? So I had no idea what conversations were happening around the circle. It was completely dark. And also it was a lot of people, like 50 people, right? So it's a big circle. But people told me later that there was conversation going on where people were saying, oh my God, there's this huge energy over there. And they pointed to where I was sitting, although nobody could see that it was me because it was dark. And no one knew that I had had that experience with the energy merge or whatever it was earlier in the day, right? So that photo, somebody took a picture of me during that period of time. And there is a huge ball of glowing orange golden light on my chest with these sort of electric things coming out from it. And standing right beside me is a little alien, like clearly. So a friend of mine who is a professional photographer and one of the smartest people I've ever met, I showed her the picture yesterday, and she's a skeptic. She's not in this community. She doesn't believe UFOs are real. She's a skeptic, right? Or maybe she doesn't know that she believes UFOs are real. And she looks at the photograph and she asked me a whole bunch of questions. Where was the lighting? You know, what were you wearing? What was the color of what you were wearing? Were you wearing any jewelry? Were you holding your phone? She was trying to eliminate all the possibilities of what could have caused that light. But I know what that was. It was where all the energy was flowing into my chest. It's exactly where it was. And I was still feeling it. It was reverberating from my chest. And my heart was pounding for hours during this whole experience. So they got a photograph of that energy, and there's a little being clearly standing beside me, and there's other phenomena in the photograph. So that was the same night as I had this experience. To me, that's validation. Not to mention, I'm going to read this for your audience. 2 days later, no, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days later on Thursday, I get this message from this medium that I know through a friend of mine who I have met exactly once. I'm looking for this message right now. I met her exactly once in a group call. I've never had any interaction with her ever. Never one-on-one communication, never asked her for a reading, never had any, I'm not friends with her or anything like that. And she, completely out of the blue, why can't I find this message? This is bonkers. 1 second here. Okay, found it. Completely out of the blue, she sends me a message on Thursday. And this is what it says. Hi, Sinead. This is the first message she's ever sent me. Okay, and again, this is totally in the blue. Oh, and it's also while...
We have 2 minutes.
Thank you. It's also while I'm talking to the woman who organized the event where I was when this happened, who is a good friend of mine, and another person who was presenting there. I was talking to them at the time that this message came through, and I was just about to tell them this story. And this message comes in. Hi, Sinead. I just felt compelled to reach out to you today. Here's some information that is supposed to be shared with you. This woman is a medium in Illinois. I'm in Toronto. Allow yourself to get out of your human mind and allow higher source and higher vibrations to permeate your being, which is what happened to me. You continue to try to incorporate your mind with events and experiences that are outside the understanding of the mind. We wish to make fuller contact with you so you can continue to do the work that your soul has been assigned to do in this lifetime. This is a reminder to get back in alignment with this purpose. We are excited to continue our collaboration and form the results that follow. And then 2 nights later, I'm looking at my computer. My computer goes out of nowhere, never happened before, completely wonky. And it's playing the very end of an episode. And the last line of the episode, there's only 3 lines of dialogue that are spoken, and then the episode ends. And the very last line is, I think I'm ready to talk. So, I mean, there's some really strange stuff going on, and it's all kind of in line with communication. So I'm excited as to what's going to happen next. And I have no idea what's coming.
30 seconds or less. What do you want to happen next?
I don't have any expectations because I'm just really, really enjoying everything they're giving me. And I feel like they are giving me exactly what I need when I need. I mean, they're helping me in ways that I never would have imagined, including bringing abundance into my life. So I am following their lead, and I'm happy to do that.
Sinead Whelehan, this will not be your only time on Spaced Out Radio. We like you around here. The audience wants you back. We will definitely make that happen. Thank you so
really
much.
Nice.
Thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight, Sinead, and sharing your knowledge and your stories. Coming up next, Stetson John Hudson will be with us for the SOR Newswire, the UAP report, and of course, we got the Thought of the Day happening as well. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues. Great job, Sinead.
Thank you very much, Dave. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here. And it went by fast.
Totally fast.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. What happens next?
You hang up and go to bed. I continue work for another hour.
Oh my God. Well, you are on the West Coast. It's 2:30 in the morning. But it was a blast. Thank you so much for having me, Dave. I really appreciate it. And thank you also, audience, for wanting me back. I appreciate that as well. It would be a pleasure. I've got a lot to share. It's all kinds of wacky stuff. So yeah.
Love it.
Anytime.
Love it. You were awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
You take care, okay?
I will. And you as well. Bye, everyone. Bye, Dave. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Sinead. Take care.
Bye.
I love her. She's awesome. Sinead Whelehan, everyone. Whelehan. That's right, Sandra. Always fast woo. Always fast woo. Ufologist. We're going to call you Woofologist. Woo train never ends at SOR. That's right. It never ends. Thank you, Anne-Celine. Don't thank me. Thank you, our good friend Sinead, for coming on and being such an amazing speaker. That was fun. Just waiting for Stetson John to get here. He's probably filling up his Pepsi in a Coke bottle. Yeah. That's what he's doing. Pretty sure. Sasquatch, how you doing? Good to have you here, buddy. You're very welcome, Nicola. Very welcome. Thank you, Cat Chaser. Dave is not having breakfast for dinner, Ed Parnell. Thank you, Lori Rosenfield. Yes, FAP is still head of the class. All right. It is that time of the night when we bring in Stetson John, but we also have to tell you about Mighty Moose Beard Oil. This is stuff I use to keep myself clean, but since I trimmed up my beard tonight, thank you, Anne-Celine, for another super chat. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. Let's see. Where'd my mouse go? There we go. Well, we're going to show you. You know, the one thing that if you want to piss a Dutchman off, you know, the first thing you need to do is say, hey, I want a deal on something. Nothing angers the Dutch more than cutting you a deal. But we are doing it. We've done it successfully here with Mighty Moose Beard Oil. I'm using the awesome winter blend. Works great on the beards. You just drop it into your hand like so. Put the rest back so you don't spill. Rub it into your hands and then just massage it in. That's it. Massage it in. Then you can put it through your hair. There's no chemicals. It is all natural. Helps prevent split ends. And all you got to do is go to mightymoosebeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019. Gary the Dutchman is going to grind his teeth because he hates giving a deal to anybody. Anybody. All right? Hates it. Drives him nuts. But it's part of our agreement. I advertise him. Our audience gets a deal. All right? SOR 2019. Go to mightymoosebeard.com. Tell Gary the Dutchman you want a good deal. Remember, it's all in Canadian dollars. None of this U.S. stuff. All right? So, literally, if you buy $20 worth, you're literally in the U.S., it's costing you like almost 15. That's it. So, make sure you check it out. mightymoosebeard.com. And big thank you tonight to Ann ×2, Black Dragon ×2, Aussie Steve, Pascal, Jose, Amy, Marty, Glenn, Brian, Jeremy, Michael, Lori, Science Bob, Space Cow, Apollo, Jamie, Cat Chaser, and Adam for the super chats. Here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's time for the unbiased UFO report as we bring in the man in the black Stetson, John Hudson. Yes, we're going to bring you all the latest news that's going on. We're going to start off with a little bit of breaking. We were talking about this lady named Anjali earlier on in the show with our guest, Sinead Whelehan, about this lady who claims that she has ET contact. She has talked to members of the alien nation and is going to meet them in a cave somewhere in the United States, putting a team together. And there's been a lot of criticism about her recently, John, and whether or not she's the real deal or whether she is just a snake oil saleswoman when it comes to ET contact. But another talk show host busted her on something good here.
Yeah, and this one, first off, hello everyone. Thanks for listening. This one really surprised me because this was not a normal gotcha. You know, I mean, this wasn't like some like cloak and dagger thing going on, because she had basically said, you know, I believe it was like her second interview, or I think it was twice on Clubhouse, that she mentioned the fact that she was working on a book, and people even went out to Amazon and found the pre-order for it, you know. And so a lot of us already knew this. And I guess in a Twitter conversation the other day, someone asked her about that, and she basically responded with, "I'm not writing a book. Not I'm no longer writing a book. Not I've paused my book. Not I tried to write a book but gave up. Just point blank, I am not writing a book." And so, yeah, Stephen, is it Chamblin or Shamblin? I believe it's Chamblin. Cambion. Thank you. And he just responds to her just lickety split. You know, well, you were. Why the flip flop with a screenshot of the actual pre-order of her book on Amazon, and I didn't see her respond to that whatsoever. So it was a weird thing because it wasn't. Like, there's a lot of things people can get caught on easily, and sometimes they're honest mistakes. This one was like, this was almost like you had two different people, you know, like how could you forget that you were writing a book if it was already a pre-order on Amazon, you know? It's troubling. It's troubling. Because I mean, I have some people who kind of stuck their necks out for her when they looked into her military background. You know, and if she ends up being a fraud, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people going to be hurt by that, you know, as you said before, you know, it's, you know, and who knows? I mean, her story could be half right and half wrong. The one thing I will say, though, is that I've been very disappointed by the way she's been treated on Twitter. You know, it doesn't matter if she's, you know, crazy. It doesn't matter if she's honest. It doesn't matter if she's telling the truth. It doesn't matter if she's completely full of it. She deserves respect. She deserves consideration. She deserves, you know, some amount of empathy and some amount of compassion. And you know, everyone is sane until proven otherwise. And so I've been very disappointed about how she's been treated.
She has not been treated right. I'll guarantee that.
Yeah.
That's not the issue for a lot of people. The fact is, she trots out this illustrious press conference in front of media, most of them not even mainstream or even fringe journalists, but a bunch of bloggers and vloggers who want to get into, you know, the whole fact that she's in Washington, D.C. in front of the Lincoln Memorial and talking about aliens. She gets wheeled out in a wheelchair when everybody knows she can walk, you know, and there's scarves and she's got her head covered and really playing up the entire guru type of ploy here. And, you know, as an experiencer myself, as I said earlier, and I'm going to go off on this tomorrow a little bit, I do believe that she has experienced something.
Yeah,
but to try and be the face of the franchise when, number one, nobody asked you to, okay, and number two, John, most experiencers are very much in the closet about everything that they have gone through. And I think it's very tough to swallow the fact that she has made a media and social media spectacle of herself where it is not very, very professional, shall we say. Now, hey, I'll be the first one to admit, if she has a leg injury or something along those lines, she should be in a wheelchair.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
but
anything,
every
yeah.
other,
I mean,
every other
possible. Yeah.
every other video that we have seen of her, every other video that she has spoken, and everything, seems to be walking fine, and it just seems like it was part of the spectacle brigade, and it just wasn't. And you know what? I spoke quite politically incorrect there for a second. So let me clarify this: the chair that she was wheeled in on was filled with scarves and pillows, almost like they were trying to build a guru's type chair for her. It wasn't that she was wheeled in a hospital wheelchair that somebody may use coming out of a hospital, or somebody with paralysis or something along that line. So let's just be clear on that.
No, and it's good of you to make that point, Dave. And you're right.
Yeah. And I don't want to offend anybody by that comment who took my words there wrong. Okay, but there's just something of this spectacle that just does not.
It looked out of sort. It really looked out of sort, and and the other thing I will say too is that there's all these things in this research facility environment where there's these oddities, right? There's these odd coincidences that may mean nothing, right, or they may mean something. You take the fact that Lou Elizondo was a counterintelligence person, right? That's challenging for some people, right? But in her case, if you believe her professional past, she specifically focused on manipulation through social media, right? I mean, that was one of her core skill sets that she actually taught was how to do. I mean, it's not called manipulation through social media. They have a more professional name for it. But if you read the description of what she taught and what she specialized in, it was basically, impacting large groups of people through social media. And that's a really unfortunate expertise to have if you're going to be doing what she's doing.
Yeah, and you know what? And if she does have a health condition, I completely take my words back. Okay, but there's a lot of stories rolling around about her that nobody seems to be true. She's changed her name 3 or 4 times before settling on Anjali. I mean, everything just seems a little fraudulent here. And I think putting that on the experiencers who are trying really hard to get people to take their stories and their anecdotal evidence seriously, I think this gives a black eye to everything. I really do.
And that to me is it's almost the best point in all this, in that essentially if the experiencers had a narrative, right? If that side of the house actually had someone coordinating this, you would take her and shift her back to the schedule 3 years and say, you know what, we'll deal with that later, because right now we have a bunch of people with much cleaner stories and are much tighter and so forth, and they deserve a chance to present in a cleaner light, and we don't need that to cause any extra challenges, consider challenges that already exist for these poor people.
Look, one other thing I want to say about this before we let this go. I know a lot of people are going to criticize me over this. They're going to say, look, Dave, you've had experiences. You got zero proof. So you tote some and highly tout Samantha Mowat, and we don't have proof of hers. With experiencers, you have to be very careful. The majority of the experiencers are not coming out waving a magic wand, and I'm not saying that Anjali is, but saying, follow me. I'm the one who has all the answers. I'm the one who's going to bring and expose the extraterrestrials. I'm going to be the one who discloses. We don't see that with other experiencers. That's why I'm very hesitant, and I'll be honest with you, the same feeling I had about the To the Stars Academy, where I told my listeners way back when, be very careful of this group. I got that same feeling once again with Anjali, and I could tell you, and I will say this with pride, I'm very rarely wrong in those situations.
No, but I think you bring up a really strong point, and I had to remind myself of this, and that is that you can't just look at the context of your story and say, okay, for some reason that's not believable to me, therefore I'm going to throw the whole thing out, because there are several other people that have much crazier stories, and some of them are very believable and might actually be true. And so you can't, you have to consider the fact that everyone has these really amazing stories, and so you do have to be very careful how you measure them and how you consider them, and everyone has to make their own personal judgment.
Yeah, I believe she's an experiencer. Don't get me wrong. I think she's experienced something. I put more of the blame on the people who have made her present it this way. I think she's listened to the wrong people. And what she's experienced, we don't know. But we're going to find out more about it. I'll go off on it tomorrow on Dave 101 on the show. I want to talk to you quickly about it, maybe spend a minute on this. But the long time coming UAP expeditions, the team with Kevin Day, Gary Voorhees, Jeremy McGowan, and everybody, they've been trying for past year or so to get everything going for a documentary and potentially a television series. And one of the big players in that field is an agent and a friend of this show, so I do have to disclose that, of Dave Altman. And yesterday, the group fired Altman, their agent, over a disruption within the team. What do you know about this?
So this is incredibly unfortunate, and the only bit of knowledge that I personally have is that I did see a Twitter a thread done by Altman, where he was basically he initially came out saying that another individual within the organization had evidently threatened to sue him if he presented this information he had that made this individual look bad. And he proceeded to post one of those items. And needless to say, if you present it in that matter, it causes everyone on the list to then start enticing you to give more. And so you can create this feedback loop that encourages you to do even something you shouldn't. And so he released more and more info. And what it looked like to me was internal discussions that went on between Altman and this other individual and possibly other people. And these were internal discussions, and they had been screenshotted, and they were being posted to Twitter. And I'm not saying that the behavior in them was correct. I'm not saying that anyone was right or wrong, but it did catch me by surprise that someone had been taking screenshots of a private conversation and was then posting them on Twitter. That to me caught my attention. And so I think it's very possible that it's because things were not handled internally within the organization, and instead it was published on Twitter. But I have no direct knowledge that that's actually what happened. But in light of everything that I've heard, that's how I'm personally piecing it together at this point.
Well, let's hope that show goes off, and hopefully there's a bunch of good people on both sides of that equation, and let's hope that
some really good information. They've gotten some incredible results that they can't talk about yet, that I really want everyone to find out about, and it's important stuff, and it needs out. So I completely agree with you.
Okay, quickly here, we're going to have to get to a couple more here before we got to let you go. There is a gentleman named Marshall Summers that you feel we need to bring attention to with a disturbing message from aliens?
Yeah. So first off, I'll provide the links. Everyone, please watch what Joe Murgia did on this. He covers the dialogue very clearly. But to give a quick recap, basically, Marshall is an American religious figure. I don't know exactly what position he held, but he's an American theology type person. And evidently somewhere around 30 something years ago, he was contacted, being told that they wanted to use him as a messenger of some sort. He didn't like the message. He didn't want to hear it. He ignored it. He blew it off. They came to him again, in the last couple of years, and they gave him my understanding is 900 pages of content, which he has published in multiple books. And I don't know the exact nature of his contact. I don't know all the details of it. And I'm not putting any judgment on whether the contact is reliable or not. The reason why I think it's important to bring out is that what this group that he talked to claims is that they are a group that does not want to contact us directly because they don't think we should be contacted. They don't think we're ready yet. And they're very concerned about the ones that are contacting us. And they think that the ones that are contacting us might not have our best intentions at heart. And it's not that this is a correct message. Whether it is or not, it's up to everyone else to judge. But what it brings to our attention and should bring to our attention is we need to get rid of this fantasy that there's one person out there. There could be multiple groups, and there's no proof that they're coordinated, they get along, or they're adversarial. And we have to watch out for that.
Same message as Anjali and many others out there, seriously. And that's not a shot there, but a lot of experiencers seem to have that same message. That's pretty incredible. Finally, tonight, I want to get to this quickly because we do have to hit with it. Department of Defense has a briefing card on UAP.
Yeah, so basically, this is a briefing card is basically something that gets given out as a this is what's safe to say. Okay, that's what it is. This is a PR generated thing that says if you have to talk to the press, this is what you're allowed to say, right? And so basically what it is it's a briefing card on the UAP report to Congress. And it was John Greenwald that got this through a FOIA process. And so please go to his site and check it out. And it's there's nothing particular that was like, ooh, got you, sort of a thing. But it was very, very interesting it's 4 pages, and it's really worth everyone reading because this is what they wanted to present to the public about the UAP report. So this is their forward-facing view of this is how we wanted the public to view us after this report came out. So it's important stuff.
Yeah, and that goes right along what we keep talking about is there is a narrative for this subject, and it's in full control of the U.S. government. John, thank you so much for another great unbiased UFO report. We'll talk to you in a couple nights.
Thank you much, sir. Have a good evening.
Here we go. Let's get right to the SOR Newswire that Captain Shirky Poo puts together each and every night. Start off with, last night we were talking about that horny dolphin. Well, this time, a group of dolphins helped save the life of a lost swimmer off the coast of Ireland. The swimmer, who had been missing for nearly 12 hours, was spotted by the Royal National Lifeboat Institution volunteers when they saw him surrounded by a pod of dolphins. The volunteer lifeboat crew spotted a pod of dolphins and a head above the water about 2.5 miles off of Castle Gregory Beach. The casualty was conscious and immediately recovered onto the lifeboat and brought to Fennet Harbor to be taken to hospital. Congratulations to those dolphins for helping the man out. That is fantastic. Absolutely love that. Things seems to have slowed down on the UFO front of late, all because of the narrative, but perhaps it is because the aliens have all the data they need after unleashing some certain things on the planet. And that doesn't mean that something isn't always still out there. Well, according to a video out of Greater London, there is a beautiful video of a UFO. Glowing red object appears in the night, leaving a fiery trail as it zoomed through the sky. Yeah, sounds like a meteor, doesn't it? But everybody wants to see UFOs now, so apparently that's what it is. And finally, well, this one's just weird. Johnny Carson York Jr. allegedly grew angry with his parents after they asked him to put some items away in a shed. So what did he do? He decided to chase his elderly parents with a mall axe. Yep, old Johnny there, 45 years old, charged with malicious assault, brandishing, and destruction of property. Yet police were summoned to a Bramwell home on August 27th after receiving reports of a man trying to hurt family members. Officers made their way to the residence. An argument between York and his parents is said to have escalated. He was chasing his parents around with an axe. That's more than escalated. Deputies of the Mercer County Sheriff's Department arrived, met with York's relatives, who said the defendant was asked to go outside and put some items in a shed before they got rained upon. Heaven forbid. Yep, York allegedly threw a lighter in anger at his parents before grabbing the maul and trying to literally chop his parents in half. The relative said that soon after, York grabbed his bow and arrow and tried shooting his parents, who had a domestic violence protective order against their own son, an order that had not yet been served on him. Oh, this is terrible. Following his arrest, police say York opened up to deputies, telling him, "I had to kill them to get the demons out." In addition, he allegedly told them, "I feel like I have to kill everyone I see." This man better go to a nice padded room for a while. Nice padded room. Thank you to Captain Shirky Poo for the wonderfully strange news here on the SOR Newswire. Thank you to John Hudson for the unbiased UFO report. And of course, to our good friend Sinead Whelehan for coming on in, talking about her amazing encounters with extraterrestrials and UFOs. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone listening in on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. You know, I'm going to quickly say something here that every media type host regrets. Okay? And it's gnashing in my brain right now. Because sometimes when you are in front of an open microphone, you don't have full control of your words because you're too busy thinking and doing other things. And I just know that there's going to be people out there now who are going to take my comment about Anjali in the wheelchair completely out of context to what I meant. Completely out of context. And now, as a show host, you have to worry about stuff like that because you just can't speak what's on your mind. Okay? You just can't do that. If she has a health problem, okay, well, I can understand that. All right? But it's just one of those things where all of a sudden somebody is going to get pissed off about that. Somebody is going to get pissed off about that. Right? Because that cancel culture is strong. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Brian. Yeah, I'm not editing the video because of it. I'm not going to edit the video. Right? What did I say? I said that I didn't believe that that I thought she was using a wheelchair as part of the showmanship. Right? Because with her right now, we don't know a lot of a lot of what is truly right or wrong with her presentation and everything. Like I said, I believe she's an experiencer. I am not denying that whatsoever. All right. And that is that is something that you gotta watch out for. It's something you gotta watch out for. You know? So it is what it is. You know? It is what it is. But that's one of those things that all of a sudden your mind just goes boom. Boom. Right? At least my iced tea is good. Thanks, John. Oh, that's a big daddy long legs. I got to show you this one. Come here, buddy. Come here. Well, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Look at the size of this guy. Look at him. He's got his arms up like, whoa, let's fight. Let's fight. Now, how about we put you outside? Can we do that? Are you okay with that? Huh? Let's put you outside, bud. There you go. There you go. Scooch off. Scooch off. There you go. Get rid of that one. Move that over there. That Daddy Longlegs was named Chad Smith. Apparently, the team has already been picked. Bob McGuire had put his name forward and never got a call back. That was hot there. Let's bring this down. Normalize, apply. Got that. Look, I'm all for experiencers.
We're watching.
And everything like that. I'm all for wanting to believe experiencers, and I do believe she is an experiencer. But I also believe it just feels like there's something not right about it. It's not nefarious or anything like that, but there's just something not right about it. Feel free to ask any questions while I'm doing the editing. Please put them in capital letters so I can read them. It's easier for me. Oh, I'm Brian. I'm not going to go on full-on attack mode like Scott Brown. I'm not going to do that at all. I'm just going to express my concerns about what I think is going on. That's all. I don't do the attack mode stuff, man. Oh, Aaron, thank you for asking. The fire is fully under control. It's smoldering. It's almost out. We've had a lot of rain over and cooler temperatures over the last number of days. And I think that it's almost out. So hopefully they'll be opening up the area out there soon. And we could go check it on out to see if my area has survived. I know the one did. I know the one did by the crash site. That one I know has survived. Whether or not the other one has survived, I don't know. I think it has. I don't think the fire came that close, but you never know. So I got my fingers crossed, man. I got my fingers crossed. Brian, and to get to your point, dude, that's exactly what I'm saying is, in this field, we've seen a lot of charlatans come in over time and try to profess that they're the ones with all the answers. I mean, this field is already filled with so many fakers and hoaxers, whether they're government agents or anything. I'm not going to make those claims. We don't know. Right. And you know what? Almost everything I warned people about regarding the To the Stars Academy came true when Elizondo Mellon and Steve Justice quit. We found out that everything that I had been hyping the last 3 years, trying to forewarn our audience, was literally what was happening over there. Okay. And that's from many people speaking. And all I'm saying is, if it sounds like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it probably is a duck. So that's all I'm saying. And we want answers. We don't want people to try and take advantage of the field to build that movie or whatever. Let's just get the stories out. I fully agree the stories need to come out. Right? But at what's the cost of it all? And I'm not saying the financial cost of it either. What's the cost of it all? I haven't checked Instagram yet, YJ. Sorry, buddy. Rocket 9, how are you? I have not spoken to Samantha about Anjali. I have not spoken to her about it. Samantha has this incredible superpower that she does not tune into any media. She is not involved in the ufology field. Everything that happens to her is about her. Andrew, do I have the bear behind my house still? I think he's still around. I haven't seen him in a week now, but there's been a number of bears seen in our area recently. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's just out meandering around, doing his thing. I don't mind. I like it here. That's what I love about here is the bears. I love bears. They're just so cool, man. See, and Nikki, that's exactly my point. Why try to hide the wheelchair? Right? Maybe it is rented. I mean, it could be rented. Maybe it was for comfort. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I know. All right. And just because I haven't seen something like that before doesn't mean that it's fake. It just seems to me it looked like they were trying to make a guru type shrine around her. Joe, I'm really glad I don't have your fire season. Not Angelina Jolie, Angelia. Or Anjali, sorry. I'm just Googling images of Anjali, and I will tell you, there is the most stunning Indian woman here from India with the name Anjali. I'm like, wow. Middle Eastern. There's not a single picture of our Anjali. Terrestrial. We'll show you the picture here. You guys tell me what you think. Let me just get rid of Nikki's comment here. Tell me what you guys think. Right here. That doesn't look like a lot of sunshine there. That looks like a cloudy day to me. I mean, not saying that it can't be warm. I mean, there's a lot of humidity over there. So, I mean, it could still been like 90 degrees or whatever it was. That just looks suspicious to me. And like, what's with the bodyguard dude standing beside her? Oh, okay, Brian. I will do that. I got to do some research on it for tomorrow, anyways. So, yeah. But there's another question. What's with the bodyguard behind her? Where's the threat? I don't know. I know I'm quite skeptical with her. Like I said, I'm not saying she isn't an experiencer. Not saying that whatsoever. Just seems like there's a lot of maintenance there. There was a small gathering of people, according to the KLAS report. So there wasn't a ton of people there. So the news conference didn't have many media there at all. I don't think there was any mainstream media there. It was streamed online on YouTube. And that could be exactly right, Nikki. Don't think he's bodyguard, not the impression I got, but knowing what I know about disabilities, she may have needed some extra help. Hey, if she's unhealthy, of course, she needs the extra help. Right? Well, she said by the end of the year that she was going to go into the tunnels in the Mojave Desert on some farm, private farm, to an alien base. That she met two different alien races who communicated with her through her consciousness. Hey, I hope she's right. I hope she's right. I hope she isn't fibbing. Just looking at her Twitter account. So 31 degrees Celsius is not that hot. But if you add in humidity, it is very grotesque. The humidity is the factor. And I believe Washington D.C. gets quite a bit of humidity. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because 31 degrees Celsius isn't that hot. That's only 80, convert, I believe it's like 82 degrees. Convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Got 31 Celsius. Pardon me, it's 87.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I just got to send the show off to the radio station, so bear with me. Oh, Walker, I would totally go. If I got invited, I would totally go. Hi, Lee A. Bew, how are you? See, ethereal aura, that is my feeling. And you make a great point here. You tend to take her story of the experience separate of how she presents herself or is being presented by the handlers. Yeah, I totally ethereal aura. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, if that happens, nominate me. I'll go. I will go. That's all right, Lee A. As long as you are here, it's all that matters. Good night, Jose. Thank you for that super chat. Really appreciate it. We do have a Patreon, but I don't do anything with it. Walker, just wait a little bit here until we get the new website up and get everything organized a little bit more. And if you choose to support that way, we'll figure it on out. I'm not the best with sites like that, so just one of those things. So, Sonny Conway, thank you for joining us for the show for your first time. Appreciate you. Can't wait to have you back. We'll be on. We're here 7 days a week, Sonny. 7 days a week. Good night, gorgeous Jenny. Yeah, thank you, Howard. That is cool to know. Very cool to know. Jules, I'm very curious. One of the opinions that I trust is Jules here. I'm very curious your opinion on this because I trust your opinion. Walker, just hold off for now. Just hold off. PayPal is probably the easiest. I'll put the email in there for PayPal. But is Brian still here? Brian, are you still here? Oh, Edgerin, I have a daytime job too, man. I have a daytime job too. Hey, Brian, I just want to say to you, because I could see your passion and everything, man. And I just want to say, dude, I want to be wrong on this one. Okay, I really do want to be wrong, but just the way she has been presented, whether it's her or whether it's the people who have who she has helping her, who have encouraged her, I don't think it was a good step. I really do not think it was a good step. And that's just my concern for fellow experiencers out there. But I mean, dude, in the end, I really hope that I'm wrong. I really do hope that I am. And who knows what if she is correct and those extraterrestrials are there, I have no problem eating breakfast for dinner on that one. I have no problem with that. I want to be wrong. So I just wanted to give you, Brian, I just wanted to give you credit for challenging me on this one. I appreciate that because, sometimes we have to, whether it's me or anybody, we got to be challenged on our opinion. And I just really respect that. I do. So thank you for that. Oh, I don't like a lot of the cheap shots. And John Hudson said it best. I don't like a lot of the cheap shots that were taken, but it just seems to be really played out and almost like a production. Now, whether that's for a movie or whether that's for the experience where they just want to make a big production of it in case something does happen, that's fine and dandy, you know? But I mean, the way people are screaming at her, that's not nice. That's not cool. But when you make big claims, you have to bring big results. And what I would have liked to have seen, and I'll talk about this tomorrow on the blog, I would have liked to have seen her do it quietly, bring in some proper scientists or researchers who can validate the experience that happens, because let's be honest, the phenomena sometimes does not allow cameras to pick it up. I'm a firm believer in that. And Brian, that's another thing too. That's part of the concern. If the aliens aren't there in the cave, how far did the goalposts get moved? I mean, look at Steve Bassett. I love Steve Bassett, but how many years in a row has he been claiming this is the year of disclosure? He's been doing that for 20 years. And that's why the UFO community as a whole, even though Steve Bassett is very smart, that's why the UFO community as a whole has a laugh at Steve Bassett all the time. Right? So, I haven't talked to Anjali there, Behoff. I honestly haven't talked to her. The book thing, that's kind of interesting. That's really interesting. I am drinking iced tea. Yes, Jules, I agree with you. The phenomenon has been to screw around with people. Just bees for now. How are you, buddy? Yeah, Brian, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. Crunch time, how are you? So apparently, her acting career, she has done a few local television commercials, 2 short films, and a tourism ad, and quite a bit of voiceovers for radio and television ads, and lead in a theater production. Sorry, I'm just looking over her Twitter right now. Let's see here. Interesting. Love that picture, crunch time. That's hilarious. Hey, it's gorgeous Jean Beckett. Yeah, we're definitely going to have the Sinead on the show again. She was incredible. Oh, there's little Davy Altman. Little Davy Altman. There he is. UFO Twitter. If there's anything that needs to be blown up, it's UFO Twitter. Little Davy Altman, it's like 3:46 a.m. where you are. Skip to Malou is still here. Any more questions? Any more questions? That's my concern, Jules. Jules, you hit the nail on the head. Great potential to delegitimize experiencers and the others if she doesn't produce her claims. This worries me too. That is probably the best quote of the night on this subject, Jules. I'll go to bed here in a minute. Lowlands Pete, how are you? I was going to reach out to Lou here for October, see, or maybe late September, see what he plans on doing. Race fan, you're still here. I haven't got. I don't. I apologize, Brian. I'm not sure who Stuart Davis is. But if you have guest suggestions, send them to bookings at spacedoutradio.com. You can send your guest suggestions there, and Dirty Filth will get on it. Anyways, I'm going to head off to bed here. Tomorrow night on the show, Lou Jimenez joins us with his unidentified celebrity review team. And we're going to talk about the Big Phone Home 2, which is happening this weekend. I will be taking part in that. So will Lynn Wallington. We're really thankful that we have the opportunity to do that, that we were asked to do that. So really appreciate that. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern is when we get going. I want to say a big thank you tonight to Black Dragon ×2, Adam, Cat Chaser, Jamie, Apollo, Space Cow, Science Bob, Lori, Michael, Jeremy, Brian, Glenn, Marty, Ann ×2, Amy, Jose, Pascal, and Aussie Steve. We really appreciate the love and support. And I tell you, we can't do it without you. You guys make it a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Thank you so much to all the veterans who tune in on a nightly basis. We love you. We love what you've done for your service, and you always have a safe home here on Spaced Out Radio in our chat rooms. Thank you to all our regulars who are here on a nightly basis. We love you, and thank you for making the chat room so fun and entertaining. We're going to call it the night. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.